Hi, today we are going to discuss and understand what is meant by JavaScript in complete detail. So first of all, we need to understand what is JavaScript. So for that, if you see clearly over here, I have written down what is JavaScript. So JavaScript is nothing, is a programming language, you know that. So it's a high level programming language. It provides an abstraction layer over zeros and ones, that's the binary language. So we will not write in that, so we use the high level languages like Python, JavaScript, like that. So in that we use the JavaScript, and it is the interpreted programming language. So I will share you what is meant by interpreted language and compiled language in a while. Okay, and it is also used for the development of web development, mobile applications, backend, desktop, game, AIML. So for these all applications we will use this JavaScript as our engine or as our language to code. So if you see, it is used to make the websites. So it is used to manipulate the DOM. It is nothing but document object model. Okay, it is used to build complete websites. Like if you want to build full stack applications, so we can use JavaScript to write front end. You can use the JavaScript to write back end. So here it is nothing but, so suppose if you want to write front end in the JavaScript, so we have something known as React.js. We have something known as Next.js. We have something known as, so these are all the popular front-end framework that we can use. With the help of the JavaScript we can code all this stuff. And for if you consider the backend, so there is something known as Node.js. So Node.js is a popular backend framework which is used to code with backend. So Node.js is compulsory to run any backend application, or if you want to run any backend application locally in your VS Code or something else, so you need to install the Node.js. So if you install Node.js, so we can simply, with the help of Node.js, we can build the backend services. Like with the help of Express.js, we can build the servers and we can have the servers in the backend. So this is with the help of the backend with the JS. Okay, backend and frontend with the JS. So if you simply change the backend, the backend to Java, okay, so not JavaScript to the Java, so that is known as Spring Boot. Okay, Spring Boot. So this is also one of the popular frameworks which is running. So with the Spring Boot you can also use the React.js. With the backend like Node.js, you can also use React.js. Okay, if you want to use with the Python, okay, if you want to shift with the Python, there is something known as Django. So this is also a popular framework for the Python. So if you simply change the backend services, then you can simply alter complete framework, but you can keep the front end as it is. Okay, that is the main thing, that you are ultimately required to learn JavaScript, because the JavaScript is ultimately a part you need to require if you want to become a full stack developer, if you want to learn the front end part. JavaScript, if you are a complete backend developer in Java, that's a part, but you also need to know about JSON. So you also need to know about JSON. JSON is nothing but JavaScript object notation. So for the simple thing also you need to know about the JavaScript. So for this, all these reasons you need to know about JavaScript. So after that we have desktop applications, game, APIs, real-time applications. So real-time applications are the applications that you see live. Let's say a football match is happening, then you see a live. So in the websites you can render live websites with the help of the JavaScript, animations, AI. So in the AI also, like TensorFlow.js. With the help of the JavaScript also you can write the AI. So IoT, Internet of Things, browser extensions, and data visualizations. So all these stuff that you can able to do with the help of JavaScript. So if you want to read more about JavaScript, you can pause the video and you can take a screenshot for this. So I have kept all the things in order and its examples where it is used. So if you see, this is the thing that I am talking about. So client-side JavaScript. So what is meant by client-side JavaScript? So client-side JavaScript is nothing but the browser. Let's say this is the browser. So in the browser, the JavaScript is the JavaScript. So that is known as client. Okay, that we are the users. Users are known as clients. So client-side JavaScript is known as client-side JavaScript. So if you want to access that, or if you want to change that, add logic. See, if you want to add logic to the client side, so then you can only use the JavaScript. Okay, if you want to add the logic, you can use the JavaScript. If you want to use the styles, if you want to make styles more attractive, you can use the CSS. So if you want to understand more in detail, let's see, this is the front end. Okay, and let's say this is the back end. So for front end means, let's say this is the browser, so this is the server. Okay, so let's say you have code the backend with the Node.js and you have done with the React the front end. Okay, React.js. So now what I am saying is, as this is the JS, okay, JavaScript. So if you want to display the skeleton, HTML is for skeleton. So I hope you know that HTML is for skeleton and CSS is for styles, okay, like muscles and all the stuff, and JavaScript is like a brain or the functionalities. Okay, JavaScript is like a brain or a functionalities. So if you have a button, let's say you have a button, so let's say user presses this, then after pressing this button, what the next step has to be done, like he has to redirect to another page, or the same page some action has to be happened, or some schedule has to be done. So for all this stuff, the button functionalities will be defined with the help of JavaScript. So this is the theory. Now we will see practically the JavaScript in detail about the programming language. Now we have understood the JavaScript on the top layer. Now first understand the history of the JavaScript, who created that and all the stuff, then we will see live action code. So we need to understand JavaScript's history, who created the JavaScript and all the stuff, because once we know that, then we can start the coding part and all the stuff. So JavaScript is created by Brendan Eich. Okay, this is the famous programmer. You can see the image over here. He is also creator or founder of the Brave. See, he is the inventor of the JavaScript. He is the co-founder of the Mozilla Firefox. You know that. So he also to stop the ads. He also built the Brave browser. So made the internet faster. Said privacy isn't optional. Didn't sell our surveillance capitalism. Okay. Created the JavaScript in 1995. So initially JavaScript is known as Mocha. Then it is named as LiveScript. Then finally it is named as LiveScript. So you can also see the JavaScript first by Brendan Eich is released in 1995. So then Ajax gains popularity in 2005. Okay, at the time only we have ECMA, which is ECMAScript. We will call that as ECMAScript. Okay, this is also similar to that. In frameworks boom in the 2010s, we have Angular, React, Vue.js and all the stuff is booming in the 2010. Because why? Because in the 2009 a programmer mixed C++ plus JavaScript in the browser and named it as Node.js. Okay, he mixed both C++ for the fastness, mixed both of them and called Node.js. And due to this more popularity in the backend browser itself, so more these are the things that they have developed in the 2010. So that's the reason most of the developers like to use the JavaScript. And we have something known as ES6 module, which is the version of the JavaScript, okay, which is introduced in the 2015. Okay, now let us understand how to set up the JavaScript and write the first program. So there are two steps to write to download and install JavaScript. First, we can write directly in the browser console, and the next step is to run directly in the VS Code. So I will show you the both of the methods. So first of all, you need to come to the browser. So into the browser, you can simply right click and you can click on the inspect. So you can see here there are some bunch of options over here. So you can see a button called console. If you click on that, so you can basically ignore all the stuff. These are the warnings. You can simply click here. This is clear console. So this is the console where you can run all the JavaScript stuff. So now let us say let name is equals to Charan. So this is the basic declaration of any variable. So I will say what is meant by let. So if you simply press on enter, so it's saying that Charan is not defined at. Okay, because we have not declared anything, because this is a string. So string always you need to place in the double quotes. So if you see clearly, let name is equals to, so always the strings has to be placed in the double quotes. If you press enter, so now you can see there is no error over here, which is nothing but you have declared the variable called name, and let is a keyword, and the value of the name, value of the name is Charan. Okay, now you can print the name. See, Charan has been printed. No, not only that, there is something known as var. So var age is equals to, let's say 20. So here you will not get any error, because 20 is a number. For numbers you need not to mention any double quotes. So if you can see, if you again want to print that, you can print age. So in this fashion you can run all the, there is something known as console.log. So console.log is nothing but if you want to print anything in the terminal, you can print in this way. Let's say I am learning JavaScript. So console.log means, console means print, where you will print, console means this is the screen, this is the console. Log means print. So what you need to print? You need to print this one. So if you simply press enter, you can see the stuff is printing over here, which is nothing but the stuff that you have seen over here. So this is one of the ways that you can run JavaScript in the browser. So the next way is you need to install the Node.js. So you can simply come here, you can type Node.js, So the first website is the official website, so you can go over here, or you can simply come back, you can type Node.js download. So you got option download Node.js, you can click on that. So you have bunch of options, so you can expand this with your Mac, Linux, Windows. You can download according to your mission. So let's say I have Windows, you can simply click on this, you can come here, you can simply install this Windows installer, and simply you can press next, and that's a simple download as a simple game as well. So after installing this Node.js, you need to, so after installing that Node.js, you need to make sure that in your computer or in your laptop the Node.js is installed or not. So you can come to the Windows PowerShell and you can simply type node-v. So if you see some version which is the version might vary because I am doing this video right now, so if you are watching this video in the future, this version might vary. But if you want to make sure that this Node.js has been successfully installed or not, so you need to make sure in this fashion that node-v, which tells you this has been installed. And not only that, there is something known as npm. So you should also need to install the npm. So if you go to this website, this is the official website of the npm. So npm will be directly installed to your laptop because it will be directly Node.js thing. Npm also is a very important thing to download, is a package manager. So if you see, this also I am getting, which is nothing but npm has been successfully installed in my laptop. So if you want to install any packages, this npm makes some sense now. So I said, if you want to run anything in this VS Code, I will show you right now. So you need to create a file. Let's say I will create a file called index.js. So this is the index.js file. So as I showed in the browser, that is known as console.log. So the shortcut is CLG. If you press CLG, if you enter, see you will get something like this. So inside this you can pass any string. Let's say hi, I am learning JS. So this is one of the ways that you can print any stuff in the terminal. So if you want to open the terminal, you can simply right click here. You can click on open integrated terminal, or you can simply press Ctrl backtick. You will get the terminal open. So in the terminal, if you want to run this file, the index.js, you now only downloaded the node. So you can simply mention the node and you can mention the file name, that is index.js. So if you hit enter, you can see the clear output over here, which is nothing but that I have wrote over here. So this is one of the ways that you will write here. Now I will explain what is meant by interpreted language and the compile language. So as you know, yes, I hope you know about C, C++ and all the stuff. In that you will get some executable file, that is .exe file. Let's say I will make a test.c. For example purpose, this is the compile language. Let's say stdio.h. So printf. So this is the basic program in the C. So as this is the compile language, I want to show you what is the difference between compile language and interpreted language. So for that purpose I am writing this C file. So as you know, this is the simple C file. So if you want to run this, you can simply write gcc, and after gcc you can mention the file name test.c. So you can see after running gcc test.c you got executable file, so which is compiled. The first of all, so I will explain what is meant by compile and what is meant by interpreted language. So in the compiled language like C, so you have some, this is the code. Let's say this is the code in C. Okay, this is the code in C language. So first of all, this whole code will be compiled into bytecode. So which will be understood by any mission. Let's say you given to one mission, you given to another mission. This bytecode can be understood by any of the missions. Why? Because this is the bytecode. This is the zeros and ones. This is the zeros and ones. So this is the human readable form. This is the bytecode compiled code. So as this is the compiled code, so after this compiled code, now this is the .exe file. Now you need to run this exe file to get the output. Okay. So this is known as compiled languages. We have C++ is another example of the compiled languages. Now what is interpreted languages? So as JavaScript is an interpreted language, we need to understand what is meant by interpreted. So there is something known as interpreter. So interpreter is nothing but, so first of all, let's say this is our code. So while you are interpreting, what it will do is, so it will be basically going to execute line by line, and at a time it will be going to give you output, so it will not going to generate you any .exe file. So this is the one of the main advantages of using this interpreted language. So I hope you got that. So for showing you, I had installed means I created this. Now I will delete this. Okay, so I will also delete this. Okay, now I want to discuss a topic that is known as variables. In every language we have variables. Let's say we have in C++, we have something variables like int, string, float, double and all the stuff. In the same way, if you want to store any of the values, constants and all the stuff, you need something known as variables. So variables in JavaScript are 3 variables only we have, that is let, var and const. So var is a before thing and these two are after thing. Okay, so what is the difference? So these 3 can store any of the data. Let's say you want to store integer, you can store in the var, you can store in the let, you can store in the const. Or if you want to store string, you can store any of the 3. Or if you want to store any float value, you can store in any of the 3 values. So then what is the difference? So that's the thing, because this was introduced in the first JavaScript version, these 2 are introduced in the after JavaScript version. So you can declare a variables like this. So I will show you instead of saying here. I came here, so I will basically remove this. So now let's say I want to declare something. Let's say I want to let name is equals to Charan. So I already said you cannot declare a string in this fashion. You need to mention double quotes, then only it is a valid string. So this is the one way of declaring a name. Let's say you want to declare a name, you can declare a name in this fashion. There is no one stopping you to declare. And one more thing, this colon is the right. This colon is mandatory in C++, but in JavaScript it is not mandatory. You can remove this also as well. But for the consistency, I am keeping this colon, and it's a best practice and good practices to keep this colon, because yeah, in some other languages it might be helpful, right? So that's why I am keeping this colon as it is. And you can also mention a name in this fashion. Let's say name as Charan. So there is no harm in declaring any of this stuff. Okay. Now what I will do is I will be going to remove this here, and let's see. If you write clg, if you press enter, you will be going to get console.log. Now if you want to print the name, you can simply print in this fashion. If you want to see this, you can come to the console. You can clear the terminal and you can write node index.js. Okay. Now you can see the name, the value that you have stored in the name is printed. Now if you want to let's say const age is equals to 20, and that's it. If you want to print again, first of all make sure you change to age here, and you boom, the age has been printed here. And not only that, if you want to print any sentence like let's say the age of Charan is. So if we again compile and run, so you can see the age of Charan is 20. So this is one way of printing the variables in the console.log. Now if you want to have this Charan also dynamically, you can remove here, and if you mention %s. And one more thing, if you write the name and age over here, if you instead of commas, if you place pluses over here, and if you compile and run here, then you can see the percentage has been not printed. So and it is saying something. And let's say if I remove this plus and make comma, then you can see you are getting that the age of Charan 20 is like that. It is printing. Why it is printing like that? Because the percentage has been coming from this name, because I have mentioned the name here. So the after miss 20 also has been printed. Why? Because if you mention the plus, it is nothing but concatenate, means combine, jod do. So that's the reason if you mention pluses in the strings, that will be concatenated or it will be joined. So make sure you always mention commas. Now if I compile and run, so you can see it's printing absolutely fine. So in this fashion you need to have so many experiments, and you need to find out exactly what you are wanting. So it is saying that age of Charan is 20. So as you can see, I am getting %s from the name, and age is printing from here. So this is one of the way. Then what is the exact difference of using const, var, let? So I want to declare const name is equals to Charan, or let's say I will be Kumar. Okay. Now I will come down, and what I will going to do is I will say name is equals to, let's say now let's say Ram. Okay, what I did is, first of all, I declared as a constant, that is as a Kumar. So after that, I have tried to change the name. So after that, if I try to print the name, let's see what happens. So you need to learn from mistakes. Now if I compile and run, so comment down below what would be the error if error came, and what would be the output. So if you see, there is showing some error. It is saying that name has been modified, assigned to a constant variable. So as you are saying const is nothing but the name is a variable is assigned to this. You cannot change further it because it's a constant. So that's the reason you are going to use const in many of the projects, real world applications, because you don't want to change any of the the variables you don't want to change, right? In the same case, if I place let's see what happens. If I compile and run, so you can see absolutely the modified output has been printed. Now if I change to var, now let's see what happens. So you can see, so for the only const that will be giving error, and the let and var is not giving any error if you modified any the value that you have initialized. So that's the main use of const. And there is something known as scope. So scope is nothing but, let's say this is known as JavaScript scope. So whatever you write inside this will be belong to this only. So we will be going to understand the scope in detail. Okay, so initialization, we have understood the initialization part. Okay, and redeclaration we have also understood, can be redeclared. See, var can be redeclared within the same scope, cannot be redeclared within the same block scope, cannot be redeclared with the same block scope. So these two will not be these two cannot be redeclared, right? Reinitialization can be reassigned, can be reassigned, cannot be reassigned. So that's the main reason that we are always using the const. Const cannot be reassigned. We have practically seen now only. Scope. So where this var can be used as a scope. So function scope, var is a function scope, let is a block scope, const also block scope. Okay. So let and const is a block scoped. Block scoped is nothing but this is the block scope. And function scope is nothing but you will write function func and you will mention in this fashion, right? So this is the function scope. This is the function scope. So hoisting, I will explain hoisting means in this video only in the further sessions. So introduced, var is introduced before itself in the 1995. I have mentioned before only, and let and const are introduced in the further versions, which is in the 2015. In the ECMAScript it was introduced in the ECMAScript 6 it was introduced, the let and const variables. And so some of the valid declarations of the let, var and const that you can see on the screen. So var, the redeclaration is possible. If you once declared x, you can also redeclare that x. But in case the const only you can declare only once. You cannot reassign also. Okay, this is reassign. This is the redeclaration. That is the make sense. I have shown you. So there are two things. One is redeclaration. One is reinitialization. Okay. So this is the redeclaration. This is the assign. So in the let also it is not possible. In the let is not possible. Only in the var it is possible. And in the let you can assign a new value that we have already sought. But in the const you can declare variable, you can assign variable, but you cannot change the variable. Okay. Okay, I forgot to mention, you can also just declare const x. This is also valid. After that you can say x is equals to 5. Only you can declare only once. After that you cannot say x is equals to 4. Why? Because you have already said that x is equals to 5. Then why are you again saying x is equals to 4? So this is not allowed. This is not allowed. So you are declared and assigned only once. That's possible. Okay, if you remove this line, if I remove this line, this is a complete valid thing. But if you mention this line, this is not valid because you are modifying this value. So the next and foremost important thing that we need to discuss is data types. So there are two types of data types in JavaScript, that is primitive data types, and another one is non-primitive data types. So we will understand what is that one by one. So we have some data types like, let's say in JavaScript only we have something known as number. So just like a normal number, that like a number 20, 30, 40, any number that we have seen already up to now. So the next thing is string. If you want to represent a name, a city, like any of the string type, then you can mention that is a string. And next one is we have something known as boolean. So simply true or false, 1 or 0, that will be represented, like let's say the standard way of representing is true, or let's say it's a false. For true we generally represent false as 0, true as 1. This is the thing. Next that we have another data types as symbol. So each symbol will be unique, so that I will show you in the code. So the next one is null. Next one is undefined. So what are these data types? We will see in practical with the help of code, so that you will understand what is this undefined, what is this null, and all the stuff. So let's jump in right there. So now if I come to the VS code, now you can see this is the basic stuff. So I will clear this. So first of all, so let's say I have declared a number. Let's say age equals to 20. So this is a number. So if you want to print that, you can simply console.log, and inside that if you say age, so it's a pretty basic stuff that we have seen up to now. Here also make sure you put the colon. That's now if I compile and run, you can see the age is 20. So it's not that much hard. Now let's say if I store a string, let's say it's a name, let's say Charan. Okay. So the first data type we have seen is number. The second data type that we are seeing is a string. Now if I come here also I will change it as to name. Now if I compile and run this, you can see the name is printed. Now let's say after that I have said about the symbol. So let's say I have symbol, let id1 is equals to symbol of, let's say, id1. So this is the first symbol, and in the similar way, if you write that id2 symbol, inside that you can mention id2. So here, so if statement. So what is this if statement? I will explain, don't worry. But if you do console.log here, so if statement is nothing but if you write, if this statement is correct, whatever the statement that I am writing inside over here, if the statement is correct, then whatever the sentence that I will write in this block will be executed. So if I say here id1 is equals to id2, then I will console.log that they are same. They are, if I run this, so you are getting some error. So basically this is not small s, this is capital S. This is capital S. Now if I compile and run, now let's see what happens. So you are getting nothing. Why you are getting nothing? Because this is false. This is false. If you want to know this is false or not, what you can do is you can simply remove this stuff. So I am removing this stuff. Now again if you say console.log, so inside that you can compare id1 is equals to id2 or not. So now you will be going to see if the statement is false, you are going to see it as false, or if the statement is true, you are going to see the statement as true. Now again if I compile and run, you can see the answer is false. Why that is false? Because each symbol, here the symbol is different, that is id1, here the symbol is different. Means, so suppose if I change the content here also to id1, now again if I compile and run, you can see the output as false. Why? Because each symbol is unique. Here the first symbol is id1, the second symbol is id2, but the content is different, the description is different also. Then also you are going to have each symbol as different, so that treated as different. So that's the reason it is giving as output as false. So I hope you have understood this symbol also. So the next thing that I am going to show is undefined. Now let's say let city. Just you declared the city, but you are not initialized any value with this. Now what I will do is inside this console.log, so I will simply mention the city. So if I again compile and run, now you can see it is showing something as undefined. So what is meant by undefined? Undefined means you have declared the city, but you are not initialized any value within the city. So that's the reason it is showing you undefined in the output. And the next thing that we have is null. So what is null? Or before seeing null, we need to understand the boolean. Let's say let, in the applications we will check is the user is present or not, or is user is absent or present, or like that in this fashion. Let's say it is true. So this is one of the boolean data that I am storing in this. Now if I again console.log, let's see what happens. Just for simplicity I am mentioning this colon. Again if I compile and run, you can see the answer is true. If you mention false here, you are going to see false here. This is the type of boolean. This is the undefined, this is the symbol, this is the number, and this is a string. And we have the last one is that is, these and all are primitive data types, which is last one is null. And now let's say we have a null. Let's say let user is equals to null, because sometimes user will be not there, so that in that reasons, in that purposes we are going to initialize that user with the null. So if I try to print the user, then let's see what happens. If I compile and run, you can see the output is null. So here null is also a data type, which is also primitive data type, which is already present in that JavaScript. So these are known as primitive data types. Here, if you mention two colors, which is nothing but it is a comment. Comment means it is not related to the code that you are doing. Okay. So this is the actual code. This will be compiled and run if you run this, but these comments will not be run because this is a comment. This is the understanding purpose of the coder or the developer. So here I am writing a comment for this code, which is primitive data type. So primitive data types are the data types which are inbuilt given by the JavaScript. Okay, these are the primitive data types given by the JavaScript, and there is one more data type in the JavaScript that is known as big int, or that is known as big int. So I forgot to mention in the slide that big int. So let's say if you want to see the big int, I will say population. So let population is equals to this. So this is a very big number. So that's the reason we are calling it as a big int. So if you try to print this population, now let's see what happens. If I compile and run, you are going to see a big number. Okay, this is known as big int. You need not to mention it. It's the data type of this number. So this is the main use case of using this JavaScript. You need to understand the non-primitive data types. So these are also a primitive, non-primitive data types, such as we have something known as. So there are two types of comments, which is a single line comment and multi-line comment. So this is known as single line comment. If you simply mention two slashes, this is a single line comment. And if you mention in this fashion, this is the multi-line comment, you can extend how many lines the comment that you want. So the non-primitive data types are arrays. So basically primitive data types are the data types which can store the data in the required specific manner that is specified by the JavaScript. Whereas in the non-primitive data type, so the data type of the data is not defined. That is user wish. That is my wish. How I require the data, I will declare the data in that fashion. Let's say the non-primitive data types are arrays, objects. Like this, you have so many things. So in this video only, upcoming session we will see what is arrays, what is object in detail. So I hope you got what is the data types, what are data types in the JavaScript. So you can see over here in the primitive data types we have number, we have big int, which are the type of numeric. We have non-numeric type, which are, so we have known as string, boolean, null, undefined, and symbol. And whereas if you come to the non-primitive data types, we will explore these non-primitive data types or user defined data types in detail, such as object, arrays, functions, data objects, regular expressions. Okay. The next thing that's the next important thing that we need to understand. In every language, you have something known as operators. So what are these operators? So we have some operators, nothing but arithmetic operators, which is nothing but plus, minus, multiplication, division, modulo, plus, like these kind of operators we have. So this is simple arithmetic operations. We have comparison, double equal to, triple equal to. So double equal to is nothing but a normal check. It will not check the data type. It will check it's a number or not, or it will simple check. Whereas if you mention triple equal to, it will check. Like if you mention if id1 equal to id2. This is one thing, and another thing is if id1 equal to id2. So this is the second check. So this is a strict comparison. This is the normal comparison that I am saying. So not equal to, we have again another, we have bitwise operators. These performs operations on the bit level, like and, or, XOR, not, like this. Logical and or, and this. Assignment operators, and finally special operator like ternary operator and all that stuff. Now we will see these operators in practical in detail. If I again come to the VS Code, so you can see. Okay, now I will remove this here. Now I will comment down here. We are going to understand now what are operators. So first of all, we need to understand the operators. Let's say I will declare it. Let num1 is equals to 5, and in the same fashion I will be going to declare another num. Let's say this is as a num2, and let's say this is as a 14. And if you let's say if you want to print the sum, you can simply call it as num1 plus num2. So I hope you can, if you know what is the output, you can comment down below. If I simply open the terminal here from the down, if I clear the console, if I compile and run, you will be going to see the num1 plus num2. Here in between you can see this is the operator. This is the addition operator. So the sum of the both of the values will be printed. Okay. In the same fashion, if you want to perform any of the stuff, let's say a is equals to 10, and in the same fashion, if you want to declare another number, let b is equals to let's say 60, and let's say let C is equals, or let sum is equals to A plus B. So this is the one of the declaration. Again, you are declaring another variable called sum. In that you are storing A plus B, and now you can print that sum. So this is also one of the way that you can have the arithmetic operators, or to declare the arithmetic operator, then you can print that, or you can use wherever you want. Now if I compile and run, again you are going to get the sum of the both of the digits. Now if you want to have the subtraction, you can by compile and run, you will get minus 50. So in this fashion, whatever the operation that you want, you can perform, you can simply change as diff. So this is the way, this is the subtraction, and if you want the multiplication, this is division, and this is the multiplication. Let's say this is the mul, and again if I compile and run, you will this is the mul. You make sure change the variables that you are having over here, and if you again compile and run, you are going to get the 600 as our output. Now I will going to explain you a modulus operator, MOD. So what is this mod? I will let's say AA, and if you use the percentage operator, this is nothing but modulus operator. So A mod B, which is nothing but, if you write the comment here, A is nothing but 10, and modded with 60. Okay, which is you are dividing 10 by 60. Let's see what is the output, and you are getting the remainder, and storing in the mod. And if I try to print the mod, so if I try to print that, you can see the answer is 10. If I reverse this order, if I first print A and next past B, now this is 60 divided by 10. What is the remainder? What is the remainder that will be stored in the mod? If you see, the remainder is 0. Why? Because the 60 is perfectly divisible by 10. So that's the reason the output is 0. Because the modulus operator, this modulus operator will store the remainder. Okay. And operators we understood, arithmetic operators we understood. Now we need to understand the comparison operators. Okay, now if I remove this, okay, I will remove this. If I say if you mention if, means whatever the condition inside this, it will be executed. Let's say if let's say A is equals to B, then you can print something. You can print executed or okay. So what I am trying to do is, if these both the statements are equal, if the both variables are equal, then you can print okay, otherwise don't. So I will simply remove this statement, this printing statement. Okay, now if I compile and run, you will not going to see anything, because these both are not equal. Let's say I make both equal. Now if I compile and run, you will be going to see okay. Why it is showing okay? Because the statement inside this is accepted, so that's why you are getting okay. So if you mention triple equal to also, again if you compile and run, so you can see again it is showing to going to show okay. Why? Because the data types are same. Again, if you mention 10 over here, as you can see, this is the string, this is the number. Why? Because you are mentioning in the double quotes. Now if I compile and run, you are going to see nothing. But if I simply remove one thing, if I compile and run, you are going to see okay. Why it is showing okay? Because as I said before, if you are just checking double equal to, it will check partially. It will check partially. It will not compare the data type. It will just compare the data inside it. Both are 10, then it will be going to allow this. So answer is 10. But if you mention triple equal to, it will check the data type also, and it will going to give you the output inside this. Now, as you understood directly here, assignment also. This 10 is assigned to A. In between directly you are assigning in this way. So this is the assignment operator. This is the comparison operator, and you can also check whether A is not equal to B. So this is the symbol that you are going to represent, which is nothing but A is not equal to B. Yeah, let's check that. So if you compile and run, so it's going to show you nothing. Again, if you want to have this another number, if I compile and run, it's saying okay. Why? Because A is not equal to B, it's true, and it's printing okay, because A is 10 and B is 70. So in this fashion you can understand all the operators. This is a simple operators condition. So up to now we have understood arithmetic and comparison operators. Now it's time to understand the bitwise operators, then logical operators. Okay, these two are set and these two are the set. Now yeah, let's come back to the VS Code for the understanding of the bitwise and logical. So what is bitwise operator? A bitwise operator is nothing but just if you remove this 0 and let's say this is 0 and 0. If let's say I am checking the bitwise AND operator, this is the bitwise AND operator. If A and B means 0 into 0, then you can print this inside thing. So if I simply compile and run, you can see the output is nothing. And if I say OR operator, A or B, then it will be printed. Now if I again compile and run, you are going to see nothing, because both are zeros. If 0 into 0 or 0, it will be going to lead you 0 only. If you change to 1, now you are going to see okay. See, it is showing you okay. Why? Because 0 or 1. So that's why it's showing this. Now, bitwise XOR operator. Let's say XOR. So the output would be again okay. Why? A XOR B, 0 XOR 1. That would be means okay. Let's say it is showing you okay, because the XOR operator this is. And there is something known as NOT. What is this NOT? Let's say NOT. Let's say this is the NOT symbol, and you can say A. Let's say what happens. If you compile and run, you can say okay, because A is 0, not of 0, which is 1, means the statement inside this is correct. So that's why this is okay. Now if I again change this 0 to 1, if I again compile and run, you can see it is okay again, because not of 0, it is again showing true. So in this fashion, so these are the arithmetic and the operators. Now what I want to do is, if I show you another thing, A and B, we have to show now is bitwise operators. These are the other operators, that is assignment operators, not logical operators. So logical operators is and this and is different. This and performs on bits. This and performs on bits like 0 and 0, 1 and 0. So this and performs on single bits. This and performs on multiple bits. Okay. Now let's see logical operators. Like we can also have this statement in the statement also. Let's say I will show you that. If I come here, if I remove this, let's say let A is equals to true. Okay. Let B is equals to false. And if A and B, then you can come and execute this statement simply. I am in. I hope you got that. If both are correct only, enter this. Let's see what happens. If I compile and run, you will going to see nothing, because both are not correct, right? If I make this also true, let's see what happens. It will be, yeah, it's saying I am in. Okay, let's keep it as false only. Okay, let's keep it as false only. Now in place of and I will just simply keep as or. If any of the condition is true, then this will be executed. If I again compile and run, you will be going to see this. Okay, I hope this makes some sense now. Now we are going to see some of the additional stuff. That is, let's say let A is equals to 10. If you want to increase automatically, now you can say A plus plus, or you can say sum is equals to let B is equals to A plus plus. Okay, if I again do console.log, and if you want to print B, comment down what would be the answer. The answer would be here A plus plus is nothing but, I write down comment for you. A plus plus is equals to A is equals to A plus 1. So this is the meaning. Here A plus plus means A is equals to A plus 1, which is nothing but 11 will be stored in B, and level 11 will be printed here. If I can compile and run, you can see the 10 is printed here. Why this is, sorry, it will be printed first. Now if I again try to do that, there is something known as post order and pre-order. If I remove plus plus after, and if I place plus plus here, if you again compile and run here, you can see 11 over here. This is pre-increment, and before I showed you, right, this is post increment. Means it will increment first, then it will print. If you want to understand more clearly, I will come here, I will just remove B, and I will say plus plus A, right? And again I will remove this, I will say plus plus. Okay. Now if I compile and first of all I will clear the screen. If I compile and run, you can see both are printing 11. Okay, both are printing 11. And if I remove this, if I again compile and run, you can see both are printing 11. Or if I see first increment, here it will be first incremented. So here it will print 10 only. Here it will print 11. Why? I will show you first output, then you can understand. See, here it is incrementing first, and means increment means first it is printing here. It is printing here. This 10 is printed. Then it is incremented, the incremented value coming here and it is printing over in this line. So in this fashion, there are two things known as, which is known as pre-increment and it's not C pre, it's a pre-increment, another is known as post-increment. Okay, I hope you got this pre-increment and post-increment, and not only that, so there's something known as like let's say sum is equals to, or sum plus is equals to, you can also write, let's say 10. So what is meant by this statement? This statement is nothing but sum is equals to sum plus 10. So these two are the same statements. So this is the plus is equals to, this is the stuff. Not only that, you can also mention minus also here, and you will get minus over here. Okay, so not only minus, you can also mention into, and in between here you will get into. So this is a simple stuff. So I hope you got that. Pre-increment, post-increment, these are under all the operators. Now and finally we have something, yeah, you can see is equals to, plus is equals to, minus is equals to, all the stuff that we have discussed right now. And finally we have something known as ternary operator. Here it is not mentioned, but this is known as ternary operator. So what is meant by ternary operator? Let's see that live in the code. And finally we have something known as ternary. So what is this ternary operator? So ternary operator is nothing but, let's say not int, let's say let x is equals to 10. Okay, this is the simple statement that I have done. And I will say is let's say let sum is equals to, let's say if I got x, then take, first of all there is something known as question mark. After question mark you will mention something. Okay, you will mention something. After this you will mention something. Let's say you will mention something as, if this x is true, take this value. If this x is false, take this value. Let's say if I make this x as true, okay, I made this x as true, then the sum will be 10. If this x is false, the x will be 5. If you want to understand more, if I console.log that, and if I want to try to print the sum, if I try to print the sum, you can see the output is 10. Why 10? Because this x is true, so that's why x is true means it will be going to take this statement. Let's say if I change true to false, so if I change true to false, now this x will be taken as this value, which is 5. Now sum will be 5. Again, if you want to compile and run, you can see the output is 5. So this is known as the ternary operator. First of all, you need to keep the question mark. So after that, you need to place this kind of colon. So this is known as the ternary operator. So some of the main use cases are there with the help of ternary operator. So that's why explicitly I explained this ternary operator in detail. So I hope you understood in detail what are these operators. I have explained in detail all the operators. Now there is something known as type conversion. Let's say you have declared let age is equals to 20. Okay, in this fashion, let's say you have declared. If you want to type, this is string. Okay, what is this? This is string. But if you want to change this age to string to number, means you want the output as just 20, not as a 20 as in this column. So what you can do is, you can simply mention number of age, that will be changed to the number, or you can check the type of the data type that you had. So I will show you a simple code snippet so that you can understand how to check the type of that. So simply you can see here I have written down something for you. So here we are having age, name, which is nothing but here number, it's a string, it's a boolean, it's a undefined, it's a null. So I have explained all these data types clearly. Now you can check the type of that by the help of this. So I am just doing the console.log, and inside that I am doing type of the variable. So you can see the type of all are small letters. Now if I clear the screen and if I compile and run, you can see the first one is number, string, boolean, undefined, and finally you are getting object. So this value, the null is a type which is an object. If you want more about, you can simply click on you can Google it and you can read about this null. Null is an object. I will going to explain what is this object clearly in the future session. So in this fashion you can check the data type of that. Yeah, now we are talking about that data type conversion, right? Okay, I will remove all this stuff. So let's say someone is sending you data not in this fashion. This is the number, but not, let's say you don't have any number, let's say you have in this fashion. Okay, so but this is the issue, right? You don't want any number in the string format. So let's say you want to convert this. So how you will convert this? So first of all, I will in this fashion, let's say number of 20. Sorry, not 20. I will print age. I'll pass age. Now comment down below what would be the output. Let's say, okay, you can see that age number here is, it is printed. So instead of this number age, I will simply remove this, I will simply pass age. Now again if I compile and run, you can see it is printing 20, but you can see the color has been changed. Here the 20 is nothing but it's a, what is that? It's a number. It's a 20, here is a string. So I hope with the help of the this number, the color difference you can understand. So here it is not the number, it's the string. So that's why it's mentioned, it's recommended that always mention that type conversion. So if you want to convert this string to number, you can mention number of the string. So not only that, let's say you have, let's say let name is equals to Charan. By mistake, let's say someone is sending you the data in this format. Actually this is an error. As well, this is an error, it should not be like this because it should be in double quotes. So you can simply say string inside that. So you can pass the name, and I think if you, so now if you try to print that name, not name, a string of, if you compile and run, it is showing you first error itself, because I have said interpreted language is a language which will be seeing line by line, it will be going to throw you error here itself, because it's not allowed, because the number is a string. So you need to always print give in double quotes. It's saying that only Charan is not defined. So that's the thing. It's thinking that Charan is a variable. So that's the reason you always make sure that you are giving in the double quotes the strings. So this is the type conversion. You can see the more type conversion. So with the number is converted to string and the string is converted to number, and finally boolean also we have. So type conversions is easy. Now if you want to see the input and output in the browser or somewhere else, so you can simply have in this format. So I have already showed you how you can console.log. This is also one of the way that you get the output. This is also one of the way that how you get the output. And if you want to see any of the prompts or the alert messages in the browser, so that is also, there is a way to see all the stuff. So let's say you are giving prompt, and inside that you are giving a name, means in this fashion, enter name, and you are passing alert as in this fashion. Okay. So if you want to understand this browser part, so I will show you. You can come to here and you can create a index.html file. So inside this index, you can simply have the boilerplate code. Let's say Control Z. You can simply change this document to test, and inside this, okay, basically you need to mention the script. Okay, you can see here script src. If you press that, it will be going to show you something like this. Inside the source, you can mention index.js. Okay, basically you are linking. If you control click that index.js, you are going to come here. And not only that, in this HTML file, if you right click here, you will see all the stuff that open with live server. If you click on this, so it's showing starting. So starting is nothing but it will be going to open you in the browser. So it's saying server is running on the port 55. Sorry, this is our HTML page. If you right click here, if you inspect, if you go to console. So this is our stuff. If you clear the console, whatever the stuff that you are writing here, let's say I will write the console.log hello, or let's say I'll print in this fashion hello. So what if I save this and if I come to the browser, so you can see if I refresh and if I reload that, you can see hello has been printed over here. So you can simply ignore these warnings or something like it's showing some stuff. It's related to the browser, you can ignore that, but you can see the output is coming here. It is coming from the index.js file, which is in the line 2. If you also verify here, it is index.js, which is in the line 2. So in this fashion, you can connect the HTML with the CSS file. You can see I am connecting in the body. I am connecting the JavaScript in the body, okay, with the help of the script line. And not only that, let's say if I say prompt, inside that prompt, let's say enter, let's say I will say enter your name. Let's say what happens if you again go back to the browser, it's showing you something. Okay, so it says prompt. Why it is like prompt. If I cancel this, if I can reload this, it's saying asking enter your name. So this is one of the main uses of JavaScript. You can see it's asking your name. If you enter your name, let's say if I enter Charan, if I click OK, it's going to do nothing because we are not configured anything yet. If again going to VS Code, you can see prompt is the thing that you can see directly in the browser as a question box. Not only that, you can send alerts also, alert. So what this alert will do? Alert will do as a pop-up. Let's say hi I am learning JS. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, if you again go back to the browser, so if you come here and if you refresh here, it's saying hi, I am learning JS. Alert is a message box or a pop-up that just will appear in this fashion, and it's saying says. And in the previous one, it is asking you a dialog box. It's asking you enter a name, that is prompt. This is alert. So this is the difference between prompt and alert in the JS. These are inbuilt things that is given in the JavaScript, that is prompt and alert. So I hope you understood that. So this is the thing that you can get the input and outputs in the JavaScript. Now if you see the conditional statements. So now we need to understand what are the conditional statements. So basic I have explained you the if statement. If statement is nothing but if any of the stuff is inside this if statement or this box is correct, then this will be executed. Okay. Then there is something known as else if else. We will understand this in the help of code so that you can understand very clearly. Now I will remove this. Now what I will do is I will be going to say as, let's say, let score is equals to 100, or let's say age is equals to 20. Okay, and I will be going to show you the conditional statement. First of all, I will be going to show you as the if statement. If age is less than 20, okay, then you can execute this statement. Okay, let's say you can print that. So you can print that age also, like my age is, in this fashion you can print that statement. And if you come here in the terminal, if you compile and run, you can see showing nothing, because here the age is same. If you mention in this fashion, then you can see compile and run, it's showing my age is 20. So better, let's say your age is 18, then let's say what happens, then also it is showing the age is 18. Why it's showing? Because you are mentioning that age is 18 is less than equal to 20, which is correct. So that's the reason that you are going to use the if statement. If you want any statement which is correct, then only you want to execute something, so that then you can use the if statement. So let's say a voter kind of stuff. Let's say the age of the person is, let's say, 19, and if you want to allow a person whose age is greater than 18, those persons only can able to vote. So in that scenario, what you can do is, if age is greater, let's say his age is greater than let's say 18, okay, if age is greater than 18, only you need to let's say I will vote. Inside this you can say I can vote. If in case of the statement is false, let's say you want to execute another statement, in that case you can pass this else statement. So in this else, what you can do is I cannot vote. You can say the opposite of the statement, because this already we have this statement as will not be executed because this age is not greater. So you can simply say the opposite statement. I cannot vote. I cannot vote. So this is the exact opposite statement. And if I clear the screen, if I can compile and run, you can see it is saying that I can vote because the age is 19. Let's say if I change the age to 15, if I can compile and run, you can see it's saying I cannot vote. So in this fashion, this is a simple if else statement. Not only that, you can also have the another check in between. Let's say your score is, let's say 65. Okay, based on score, I will remove this else statement. I will explain why I am doing this else statement. If score is greater, if score is greater than let's say 90 marks, then you can say A grade. And let's say else if, there is something known as else if. Inside this else if, you can mention another score. If score is less than 90 and score is greater than 80, then in that case this block will be executed. Let's say I will be going to say B grade, because in between 80 and 90 I will consider as B grade. Okay, this is another grade. In the similarly and finally, let's say in the similar fashion, you can also mention another else if condition. Inside this, you can also mention a score. Let's say score is, let's say, less than 80, and score is greater than 70. In that case, if you want to mention something, then you can mention something. Let's say you will consider that as C grade, so you can consider that as C grade. In this fashion, if you want how many else if statements, also you can mention else if statements, and finally you can mention the else also. Else I will consider that as D grade, let's say D. And in this fashion, let's say I am giving score as 65. I am coming here, so actually the person will fall under D grade. Why? Because the score is 65. Let's see what I will get. So you can see that D grade. So let's say I will change these marks as to 95, and you can see you will get A grade. And not only that, if there is no limit over here, you can also mention 200 over here, then also you will get A grade. Why? Because there is only one condition. If you want to check another condition also, you can mention like score should be always less than 100, and score should be greater than 90. Then you can see something known as the D grade. Why? Because it's falling under else case. So now what I will do is I will simply mention as not 90, 95. Let's see what happens now. So now it is showing A grade because now it's correctly falling in this category only. So in this fashion, you can run how many else if statements in between you want, and finally you can run the else statement. So this is the conditional statements. So I hope you understood what is if, else or else if statements. Okay, this is the simple stuff that I have explained up to now. And I hope you got that ternary operator also I explained before, which is the const, and this is the variable name, which is your age. This is the condition. If this condition is satisfied, this will be taken. If this condition is not satisfied, then this will be this will be considered. Okay. If this is true, means this is true, this will be taken. If this is false, this will be taken. Now there is something known as switch case. Then what is the switch case? Now let us understand through code what is this switch case. So again come to this. So I am going to remove these else if statements. Now, so first of all, let's say I am going to have a day. Let's say let day is equals to Monday. I am going to call it as switch of day, and I am going to open in this fashion. I am going to say case. What is the case? Case Monday. So in the case Monday, what you will do? I am in Monday. Okay. Case Tuesday. So basically what I am doing is I will copy this and I will paste it here. I will say I am in Tuesday. Similar way I am going to copy these two statements. I am going to replicate here, and I am going to change here as Thursday, and finally I will be going to change as here as there is something known as default. In the default case, so I am in default. So you can say I'm Sunday. Here also you make sure you change to Friday. So this is the switch case. Here let's say switch case is Monday. So based on that Monday, I am having some stuff. Okay. So basically after this statement you need to mention something known as break. So without break I will show you what happens right now. Okay, if I simply open here, if I console clear the screen, if I compile and run, you can see it's showing you that Monday is not defined. Okay, why? Because here day. So as you can see clearly over here, I forgot to mention the double quotes as this is a string. So as it is saying the day as Monday, and in the switch case you are passing this day, and in the case you have Monday, and the first one is as this is the day is Monday. So you can see as the day is Monday, actually this has to be printed. This has to be printed. I mean Monday, and it has to be stopped. But it is printing I am Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and up to the default as well. You can see as I compile and run, it is printing Monday, and after printing this Monday, it has to be stopped. But it is printing all this stuff. Why it is printing all the stuff? Because we are not having the break statement after that. So generally, let's say if I change this to Tuesday, let's say what happens. Actually, it will print this Tuesday and all this stuff. It will not print I'm in Monday. Why? Because this is not satisfied. So this is satisfied, and it will print all. Let's see what happens. So if I can clear the screen, you can see it is starting from Tuesday and it is printing all this stuff. If you write Sunday also, let's see. If you write Sunday, So basically it will satisfy this condition and it will print this and it will print this. But you don't want that. You don't want to print all this stuff. You just want to print this Sunday. So for that reason, what you can do is you can just after this statement you can mention break. You can write break in this fashion. So what this break, you can mention break all the stuff, all the way. So what this break will do is this break will automatically stop after the required statement. So after the last case, you don't want to there is no requirement for mentioning for this default break, because default is the default thing which will run at the last. So if I clear the screen and if I run this again, you can see it is just printing on the Sunday, because we have Sunday. Again, if you mention the Monday, it will not print all. It will just print Monday and it will see the break and it will be going to break down. If you compile and run, you will see it is showing you I am in Monday. So this is the main use cases of the operators. So you have understood what is the switch cases also. This is the conditional operators. Okay. You come back here, you can see you have understood what is this switch cases also in detail. And ternary operator, if else statement also. So the next thing that we want to learn is about loops. So what are these loops? So let's say you want to print something in a let's say you want to print 1 to 100 numbers. So you cannot go like console.logs, like console.log 1, console.2 log, like that up to so on. You cannot go console.log 100. So you cannot do all this stuff. If anyone says let print from 1 to 100. So this is the bad stuff. You are using the computer resources and all the stuff. So for that purpose, what you can do is there is something known as loops. So there are 3 types of loops generally I'm saying. In any programming language, you have for loop, while loop, do while loop. So we'll understand this in code in while so that you can understand it clearly. So I will come to the VS Code again. So yeah, we have understood the break, like the switch cases. So I will remove this. So now what we can understand, what we need to understand is loops. For understanding the loops, first of all, let's say let x is equal to 0 is, I will say. After x is equal to 0, I will run for int I is equals to 0, I less than let's say if x is equals to 10, let's say I will match it as 10, I x less than equal to x. Finally you can mention I plus plus, and you can mention in this fashion. Okay. Oh, sorry guys, I forgot a simple thing. That is in the C++ it's integer, but in the JavaScript you are going to mention it as let or constant or something like that. So that's the reason it is giving you warning or some error like that. So let I is equal to 0, I less than x, I plus plus, in this fashion you are going to mention. After that, inside this whatever the stuff that you want to do, let's say I want to print, just print that stuff which is I. Okay, you are going from 0 to 10. Okay, but 10 will not be printed. Why? Because it's less than, not equal to. Let's see. So you are going to see it's printing from 0 to 9. If you mention is equals to, it will be going to go from 0 to 10. If I clear the screen and if I print that, you are going to see it's going from 0 to 10 in this fashion. So basically I wanted to say that this is the for loop. So for loop is nothing but for loop. Inside the for loop we have the let's say initial condition. Then after the initial condition we have something known as the stopping condition. The condition where you need to stop. For that reason you need to mention the stopping condition over here. At final condition is what are the steps that you want to do, what is the condition that you want to do, perform operation, which operation that you want to perform on that variable. Here the loop variable is I. So I is initialized with 0, I is going up to the 10, and you are mentioning that operation as increment, which is nothing but I plus 1, I plus 2, I plus 3, like that it will be going to incremented. Okay, this is the syntax of the for loop. I hope you got that. Now I want to explain you the let's say if I remove this x also, you can simply mention the value of x here also, the or 10 directly. Not only 10, you can go from 200 also. Let's see what it gives. So if you compile and run, you can see it is printed from 0 to 200. You can come here top, and so these are all the stuff going up to 200. So this is the way how you simply use the help of loops. Within a second you can print all the stuff that you want. And not only printing, if you want any operations, let's say you have sum is equals to 0 over here, sum is equals to 0, and if you want to print sum here, and you can increment sum over here, sum is equals to sum plus I. Basically what I am doing is I am adding all the values up to 200. Okay, and finally I can come here and I can print the sum here. Okay, in this loop I am incrementing the sum and I am finally printing the sum. If you again compile and run, you can see the sum of first 200 values from 0 to 200, it is 20,100. So this is the help of the loops. Okay, you can sum all the stuff. And there is something known as while loop. We understood for loop. So we have understood for loop, and there is something known as while loop. So what is this while loop? So first of all, you need to declare an variable. Oh, sorry, here I am going to C++, that kind of stuff. So let I is equals to 0. Okay, and if you come down and if you mention while, inside this, first of all, this is the initial condition. First only you need to declare the initial condition. So the stopping condition inside this you need to mention, like let's say I less than equal to 50. This is the stopping condition, and inside that let's say come down and you can say I plus plus, and here you can perform whatever the operation. Let's say I want to print that I. So that's it. That's the thing. That is a simple code. If I clear the terminal, if I compile and run, you can see we are going from 0 to 49 in this fashion. Let's say in the same way, previous way, if you want to have sum, let's say sum is equals to 0, again I is equals to 0. So this is the another way of declaring. You can also declare multiple variables in a single line. I am mentioning I also and sum also in a single line. I am saying I less than 50 because I want sum up to 50 numbers. I will remove it, or let's say I will set 200 because in the previous for loop we have seen for the 200. So I will increment the sum is equals to sum plus I. Okay, and after incrementing the sum, what you can do is you can do I plus plus, and you can come down after the loop. You can simply print that. You can print the sum. If you this is with the help of the while loop, and if you again compile and run, you can see the answer is the same thing. Last time I hope we got up to 200 or something forward. Let's say 250. Let's say up to 250 numbers. Now let's see. So this is the same thing. Okay. So this is the while loop. This is the for loop. Both are same. Both will do the same thing. So you can see this is the loop variable. This is the variable that we are mentioning for the sum. So the sum that I am using here, and I am incrementing the loop variable here. And there is something known as do while loop. So do here is something like this. So first of all, you mention something. Let's say first of all, I am in the do statement. So whatever after this do statement, you will while will be executed while I less than 10. Okay. Let I is equals to 0. Okay, I is equals to 0. After that I will say I plus plus. So this is a simple do while loop. So what this do while loop will do is, so this is the initialization of the stuff, and whatever may be the condition until unless it satisfies this condition, this do while loop will be running. So let's see what happens if I clear the terminal and if I run that. So for the 10 times it will be going to print you I am in the do while loop situation. So let's say if I less than equal to 0, let's say I less than equal to 0, you can see, or sorry, if you both need to attach that. If I can clear the terminal, or if I is equals to 0, you need to stop this condition. Then also this will be printed. Why? Because this will be printed once, then this will be seen. If this condition is satisfied, then again this will be run. Okay. One time, at least one time this will be run. Let's see what happens. Because I is 0, then also it will be run. Let's see what happens. If I can compile and run, then you can see it is running only one time. Why? Because only once it will run and it will check this condition. This will be, this condition is satisfied, then it will come back like this. Okay. If I mention I less than equal to 1, if I remove this 0, then you can see again, if I compile and run, you can see it is printed one time because automatically it will print one time. Then again, if it is you have to print another time. Okay, I have to print another time. So it gone to the do statement, it ran again. So I hope you got the 3 of the loops. In spite of these 3 loops, there are some other loops also. These other loops are used for the, let's say, arrays. I will explain these loops in detail. Okay, arrays and objects in the, let's say non-primitive data types. We are going to use these loops. That is for for each. See, don't worry, I will explain that in the further session, because this is the array. In the array you are saying for const color of, you are printing that color because this is the color, and you are saying the number dot for each. In the for each you are getting the each number, okay, and you are printing that number. In the for in also you are saying the const key in user. Here user is an object, okay, and key means this is the key value. So in the user you are having the keys, right? The name and age is the keys, so you need to print that keys, that's it. So for that you are using in is used for objects, off is used for arrays. So this is the simple thing that you can keep this mind about the loops. So the next thing that we are going to understand is in the JavaScript is functions. So there are three types of function declarations in the JavaScript, that is function declaration, function expression, arrow function. So if you want to understand this in clear, so I will come here. So what are the three ways? The first one is function declaration. So there is a keyword there is a keyword in JavaScript that is known as function. Okay, you can simply mention function. Inside this function, if you want to accept any arguments, let's say if you want to accept after this, so there are three types of function things in the declarations in the JavaScript. So the first one is function declaration. So how you will declare a function? Let's say there is a keyword called function. So function you will mention. So after that you need to mention the function name. Let's say the function name is sum, and you are accepting the two values, which is a and b. So this is the function scope that you are opening, and you are performing whatever the stuff that you, let's say you are performing a plus b over here, and you are closing that. So this is the first way of declaring a function. This is the keyword you need to mention, and you need to mention the function name. This is all very important. This is the function name. Now the second one is, so all the three ways are very important that you need to keep in mind. So majority of the time these are all the stuff, any of the kind will be asked in the interviews. And the third one is arrow function. This I will explain in a while, wait a minute. So the third also I will write as arrow function. So function declaration is, you need to first mention the function name, keyword function name, and you need to accept the argument. And function expression is nothing but, let's say you need to mention let, you need to mention sum, and you need to mention is equals to, you can mention function, and inside directly you can mention arguments, let's say a, b, and you can have, let's say console.log, you can add a plus b in this fashion. In this function expression, what is the function name? Because function you are mentioning, and directly without the function name you are accepting the arguments as a, b. So in this situation, so this sum is the right here. This is the function name. As you are passing the sum here, this is the same as this. And the third one is arrow function. Arrow function is that you need not to mention anything, nothing that as function. You can have, that is sum, sum is equals to, so a comma b, and you can simply mention in this fashion. Whatever the stuff that you want to perform, you can perform a plus b, and you can simply this thing. So this is nothing but the function. And is equals to is that. So this is the function name. Now let us understand this practically so that you can understand clearly. So you can come to the VS Code, you can simply clear all the stuff. So first of all, we need to first I will show you what is meant by function declaration, normal function declaration. So normal function declaration, you need to mention first function. So next you need to mention sum. So inside that sum you need to accept two arguments, and this is the function scope. So inside this function scope, you can do CLG is nothing but console.log. So you can simply say a plus b. So what is this a plus b? That you are going to accept in this way, a comma b. Okay, let's say this is someone. For differentiation, I am going to say you this as someone. This is the one way of declaring the function. This is the function declaration. And let's say if you want to run this, you can call the sum1, and inside that you can pass 5, 10. And if you in the terminal, if you clear the terminal, if you compile and run, you can see output as 15. Okay, because you are calling the function here, and the function has been called, someone has been called, it is accepting a as 5, b as 10, and the output has been printed that as 15. Now this is one way. Now the second way is function expression. So in this function expression, I will say I will call it as sum, because the sum2 I will call it as, okay, sum2, and I will say it as function. Inside this I will accept two arguments, okay, and inside this, see, after this function I am not mentioning any of the variable. Okay, here I will accept the argument as the whatever I want to do, I will do, that is a plus b. You can have your custom logic also. I will call sum2. Now let's see, 5 plus 10, because I am calling now as sum2. Let's see what happens. So again you can see this sum2 also performs the same thing, but it is the function expression and this is the function declaration. Okay, I hope you got that. Now there is something known as third type of declaration, which is the arrow function or fat arrow function. So what this arrow function will do, it is the same thing. Let sum3 is equals to, so here you are going to accept a comma b, and inside this you are going to solve all the stuff in this fashion. Okay, here see, you can see is equals to and left arrow mark, and after that you are opening the function scope. So inside this function scope you can simply do whatever you want. I will just simply print that. Okay, and now if I call the sum3, now let's see what happens. I will clear the terminal. If I compile and run, you can see our output is 15. So from these three expressions, what you understood? So there are three types of functions, function declarations. This is the function declaration, this is the function expression, and finally this is the arrow function. And now I am going to say you a very important point, that is in JavaScript, wherever, okay, listen carefully, wherever the constants can go, there the functions can go. Okay, this is very important. So what is meant by this? So this is very important. If you understand this, then whole JavaScript is in your hands. So what is meant by this is, I will explain you in a detail. So let's say there is a function, let's say a. The name of the function is a. Now the a will accept one argument. Let's say the a will accept one argument. Let's say a. The function name I will keep as not a. I will keep as square. The function name I will keep as square, and I am accepting argument called a. Okay, and here I will call that. I will come down and I will call this square method, and I will pass that, let's say 5. Okay, inside this you can also print that let's say a into a, which is 25. And if I just comment out this control /, it will be commented out, so that we can only focus on this. Okay, now if you control black tick, so if you compile and run, clear the terminal, okay, you can see 25, because you are doing the square. Now what I said is, where constants, a is a constant, where constants, see here constant is going, so here instead of going constant you can send a function. See that only written in, wherever constants can go, their functions can go, their functions can go. Instead of this a, we can return accept a function. Let's say we have another function, let's say we have function, let's say function f. So this is a function. Okay, so this is a function. Let's say this is a function. This function will do nothing, and it will print something. Let's say I am in f. I am in function. So just it is saying that I am in function, and after this I will call this square method. Inside this square method, instead of passing value, instead of passing the constant, what I will pass is, I will pass this function. Is there any trouble in you? No. Why? I said that only. Where the functions, where the constants can go, their functions can be gone. So instead I will send f, which is nothing but this function. So here you can see we are accepting a function inside this a. So we are calling this f. So let's see what happens if I do control L. If I expand this and okay, this is the code that I have written. If I compile and run, you can see it is saying that function f. Okay, you are printing that function f. That's as simple as that. Okay, if you also want to see this, you can, if you mention in this fashion, if you see it is saying I am in function, and it is saying undefined. Why? Because you are calling this function. Let's say you are calling this a. this a, because you're passing this f function here, you're accepting in a and you are calling that a function. Let's see what happens. If I compile and run, it is saying that I am in function again. Okay, so what you understood, if you pass f, so the access of f has directly over here, or you can access with the help of this a. Okay, then what is this undefined? This undefined is coming from because that you are calling 2 times, right? So that's why it's saying undefined. So again, if you do the console.log here, I am in the square. So let's see what happens. If you again compile and run, you can see it is saying I am in the function undefined, and again it is saying I am in the square. So if you again replicate this, so if you remove this, if you again mention this, and if you again compile and run, you can see it is saying I am in function func and I am in square. So first of all, you are passing this function, so that's why you are calling this function means this is executing. If you reverse this order, first you printed this, then you are calling that this function, then you can see. I will clear the terminal. If I compile and run, you can see it is saying that I am in the square because first we called this f function, so first this printed this. So after that it is saying I am in function and func, and these 2 lines are executed. So in this way, where the constants can go, there functions can go. And one more thing, there is something known as return type. You can simply return a. If I remove this and let's say I passed 5, you can simply return that a star a, and simply I can store let answer is equal to the square of this function, and I can simply print this square of the function, let's say answer. I hope you got that what I am doing. I am simply having a function. I am as this is return type is a into a, which is returning a square. Okay, I am going to catch that answer in the answer, and I am printing that answer. There is nothing much more than that. So I will clear the terminal. I am just compiling and running that, because I say 25 is I got. This is simple code. Now what I want to say is, as I said, instead of returning a constant, you can return a function. You can return a function, right? You can simply remove this and you can simply open here, or you can you can remove this and you can say function. Let's say you can open in this fashion. You can let's say you can control you can do console.log here. So I am in the function of function. So okay, this is basically this is the function, and this is the another function that we are returning. So yeah, and let's say if you want to use, you can also use this value here also. Inside this we can also print that as we are getting this a value, we can also use that a value in this return function also. You can simply clear this and you can simply multiply this a into a, and that's it. So what you are getting is, you are getting a function in the return response. So you are storing that in the answer and you are printing that answer, because answer is a function. So let's see what happens. So first of all, if you clear the terminal, if I come back, okay, if I compile and run again, it is saying that function anonymous. Why? Because you are passing a value and you are getting the answer. So if you want to call the answer, you need to mention in this way. Now if I call the answer, you can see it is saying I am in the function of function, which is nothing but this line has been executed. Then this line has been executed, which is 25, and finally we are getting undefined. Undefined is nothing but for this console.log we are getting undefined. I hope you got that. For this console.log, not this for answer function. For this complete console.log you are getting undefined. So if you come here back, so these are the 3 types of function declarations. I hope you got these 3. So a very important point that you need to write down, that it has a very important point that you can write as note, which is nothing but wherever the constants can go, there the functions can go. So this is very, very important, which is nothing but we can return. So with the help of this statement in the JavaScript, we can unpack so many possibilities, such as we can return a function. Okay, we can return a function. We can return a function of a function. Let's say we have a function Okay, we can have a return of a function. Inside this function, this is a, okay, inside this function we have another return statement, another return, we have another function. Okay, and we have another return, another function. Okay, so another return, another function. So you can see this is the first function. So I hope you got that. This is the first function, 1 2 3 4 5. So in this fashion, 1 2 3 4 5. So in this fashion, this return belongs to this one, this belongs to this one, and this belongs to this one, and this belongs to this one, and finally this main function belongs to this one. So in this fashion, this main function, this function is responsible for returning all this stuff. And not only you can return a function, there is in the JavaScript we can also have something like as we can write a function inside a function inside a function inside a function. So in this fashion you can write how many function inside you want in this fashion. So this is the main use case of the JavaScript. You can return just writing any functions, how many functions you want in this fashion. So this is not possible in the C, C++, Java, like Java. So in these languages, writing function inside a function is not possible, but in the JavaScript it is possible. I hope you understood this point. Now we need to understand what is meant by scope. So scope is a very important thing that you need to understand, because some of the things, some of the times you will get errors. So you might wonder why this error came. So for the understanding the error clearly, you need to understand the scope. So what is global scope, what is block scope, what is function scope. So basically global scope sorry, so global scope is nothing but if you generally write any statement throughout the JavaScript file. So let's say let year is equal to 2020. So this is the line that you wrote. So this is the global scope. You can access this year variable wherever you want in the code. So the next one is function scope. So function scope is nothing but, so here the braces, inside these braces you are using the text. So you can only use the text variable inside the scope only. So outside of the scope you cannot use this variable text. So this is known as function scope and block scope. Block scope is the scope that if you are writing if condition, if this condition is true, you are creating a variable called greeting. So this greeting is only can be accessed in this block. So this is known as block scope. And not only that, block scope is called there is simply, if you mention this also, this is also known as a block scope, not only in the if statement. And you can see the main scopes are first global scope, then we have module scope, then we have function scope, and finally we have block scope. This is the priority order. And if you come here, you can see. So first of all, I wanted to show you the code so that you can understand clearly. So as you understood functions clearly, I will come here. I will this is the function declaration expression. Okay, I will remove this. Okay, this will also I will remove. I hope you got this. Okay, functions. Okay, now what we are going to understand is about scopes. So I will write down comment for you, which is scopes. So what are scopes? I hope you got that. Now first of all, the first scope is what? The first scope is global scope. So the global scope is, the name itself suggests that it's a global thing. The next thing is function scope. So function scope is also, the name itself suggests that. So the next thing is the block scope. So I will show you one by one. Okay, let's say you have declared something as let year is equal to 2026. So this is the year. So this is nothing but wherever if you want to access this year, then automatically this year can be accessed, whether it is in the function scope, whether it is in the block scope, you can access this. Why? Because it is in the block scope. So by default the global scope has the highest priority, which is nothing but you can access this global scope variables wherever you want, even in the block scope as well. Okay, so I have declared this year in the global scope, just in the file that is global scope. Next I want to show you the function scope. So you can make a function and let's say function name is greet, and inside this function name let's say I am making a let greet let's say greet is equals to hi or hello, a simple variable. Okay, And now what I want to do is I just want to return that greet. So you can return that greet, no problem. Let's say if you want to use this greet, let's say if you want to print the greet, so you can do that. So if you want to print that greet, there is no issue in that. If you call the greet, so here you are calling the greet function, and if you call after calling this greet function, here you are having a greet variable, so you are printing that. There is no much more issue in that. So this is known as function scope. From here to here, you can access the greet variable in this here. Let's see what happens. If you control that, you got the hello because you are in here. Let's say you don't call here. Let's say you simply try to have the greet variable here. It will not simply going to work. If I do compile and run, it is not going to work because it is saying that greet is a function. So let's say let's say it's not greet. Let's say I will change this as text. Okay, I will say let text is equals to hello. I will print that text here, and I want to access the text here. You cannot do that. Let's say, so it's saying that text is not defined. Text is not defined. That's why I'm saying that. Because the text is inside this function scope, you cannot access that. Let's say you having the, let's say let text to is equals to hi in the global scope. So this is the global scope, not in the function scope. You can simply access that. You can simply access the text too, but it will be working. Let's see what it will do. So you can see hi. Why it is working? Because you are accessing the global scope in the global type. So if you want to also access that in this function, let's say if you want to access the text too, you can do that. I will remove this text, I will remove this, and I will remove this here also, and I will remove this also. Why? Because I declared in the function the variable in the global type, and I am calling that means I am using that variable in the global scope. If I compile and run, you can see text2 has been printed, right? Sorry, I did not call the greet. So you need to also call greet. Okay, should also call the greet function. So you can see hi has been printed. This is the hi coming from, and you can access that. And finally, I want to explain you what is meant by block scope. This block scope. So if you see in the JavaScript, if you mention in this fashion, this is known as a block. This is known as a block. Block scope is nothing but whatever you mention here, whatever you mention in this here, that will coming under a scope, that is known as block scope. And not only that, if you remove here, if you mention if condition, and after that if condition, there is some condition here, right? So this scope is known as a block scope. Let's say I will declare a let's say let a is equals to 10. Okay, if a less than 20, yeah, it is less than 20, then whatever you want to perform, let's say you just want to print that a, you can do that. So I will simply clear the terminal, and if I print, you can see 10 has been printed. Okay, because as this a can be accessed in here, why? In the block scope. Why? Because it is declared in the global scope, so that's why I can able to use that a in the block scope as well. So that's the main reason that you need to understand the difference between these three scopes. Okay, these are the scopes. Now you need to understand there is difference between let, const, and var. So each one uses some of the scope. So let's see what the scopes are there. So you got the global function block scope. Now in the scopes we have var, which is the old version. Old, you can keep this as this side, and these two are this side. So you can see let is a block scope, const is a block scope. These two are one type, and var is a function scope. Okay, you got the same example as here. And now we need to understand a interview topic. It's a very important topic, that is known as hoisting. So what is this hoisting? So if you want to understand hoisting, I want to show you a magic. So let's quickly come to the VS Code. So I am in the VS Code. I will simply clear this. So now what I will do is I will say let x is equals to 10. Okay, so after declaring that, so I hope it's general. First you need to declare x, then you can use the variable x here in this format. Now if I clear the terminal, if I print that, you can see the 10 has been printed. There is no issue in that because it's as simple as that. Now what I want to do is, instead of having here, first I will print x. First I will print x. You understood my word? First I am printing x. I have not declared before that x. The JavaScript doesn't know what is x, but also I am using the value x. After that I am declaring the value x. Okay. Then what I will do is, I will come here. If I simply clear the terminal, if I compile and run, you can see it is saying me that cannot access the value x before initialization. It know that x has been initialized after that. So you cannot use the value x before that. So if you change let to const, if you clear the terminal, if you simply compile and run, again the same issue. So again if you do with var, okay, var x is equals to 10, if you clear the terminal and if you again run that, wow, what happened right now? So you can see with the var it is doing something, it is not giving you error. Okay, with what the error that you are giving with the const and let, that is not getting with the var. Okay, it is giving you undefined, it is giving you some value. So the x has been not defined. So this is known as hoisting. Hoisting is nothing but whenever if you want to run the code, all the variables will be taken up to the top. This is the variable, this is taken to the top, and this variable will be undefined, just declared. The value will not be assigned. The value will be assigned after this only. So that's the reason it is showing you undefined. So this is the concept known as hoisting. So hoisting is nothing but bringing the variables to the top before initializing it. So this is with the variables. Now let's say I want to play with the functions. Let's say function is equals to, let's say, sum. Okay. So this sum can accept two variables, which is a and b, and I can say I will print a plus b. Okay, I will be going to print this a plus b. For the simplicity, I will be going to comment out these two, or I will remove this. Okay, with the variable you got that. Okay, now I declared a function. After this declaration, I will call this sum as with the two numbers. Let's say 5, let's say 26. This is the two numbers that I am calling. Now if I clear the terminal, if I call this, you will get output. That's as simple as that. Now if you do call before that, this is known as hoisting. Okay, this is known as hoisting. You call the function before declaring it. You call the function sum, passing the values before declaring the function. So you simply clear the terminal. If I compile and run, it is showing you the output. Wow, what a miracle. It is only possible with the help of this syntax. But if you use, let's say I will remove this sum here, and if I say let sum is equals to, okay, I am passing two values, sum of like this, and I am accepting that two values as in this fashion. Now this will not work, this will work or not, you can comment out below. So it is saying that cannot access sum before initialization. Why? Because it can be only accessed with the help of this syntax only. If this can be accessed with the help of this syntax only. If I again clear the terminal, you can see the output. Okay, before declaring the function, you can access with the help of this syntax only. You cannot access with the help of the fat arrow function also. So I will also show you. Let's say let sum is equals to sum. So after this, you can call in this way. Okay, so this is the arrow function. Now I will call the arrow function also. So you can also see it is saying that cannot access sum before initialization. So what is meant by this? So if you want to take the advantage of hoisting, you only need to use the function declaration format. Means the function and function name, function and the, let's say, multiply in this fashion. Okay, this only works for the hoisting. This will not work, other two methods will not work. Okay, this is the hoisting. Now let's understand with the slides. So let us read the statement once clearly so that you will understand the hoisting in better. So hoisting is a JavaScript where the engine allocates memory for available and function declarations. Before executing the code, Collectively, this is often described as declarations before moved to the top of their containing scope, global and function. Okay, hoisting in JavaScript you can see, this is correct, but this is not correct. Why? This is with the help of let. Okay, and if you see clearly over here also, with the help of functions, first you are calling the functions, but this is uncaught reference sum is not defined. So I have showed you this error also. But if you use, this is the arrow function, you should not use. This is the function declaration. You need to use function name. So for this only it will be going to work. Okay. And I have clearly explained with what value it will be going to work. So if you want to understand more clearly, you can pause the video straight over there and you can read this statement and you can take a screenshot for this table. Okay, and it's crucial to understand very important point that JavaScript only hosts declarations, not initializations. Okay, the assignments. The physical code stays exactly where you wrote. Okay, the physical code will not go exact right, means it will not move to the top of that. But the engine setup the memory reference during the compilation phase, means during the compilation phase only it will allocate the memory, that's it. So that's why you are seeing the value, the thing called undefined, something known as undefined. So just memory allocation, that's it. You can read all the stuff here. So now we are going to understand the strings. So extracting substrings. So what is meant by that? So I hope you know that string is something that you will write in this. So let's say you have a name, you have a place name, you have an address, anything that you will put in double quotes, that's a string. So there are so many methods that you can put on this string in JavaScript. So but before that you need to understand, let's say this is a string 1, you have stack memory. Okay, and you have something known as heap memory and stack memory. Inside this heap memory there is a new string John. If you mention new string John, so it will be going to represent in this way, and new string John, and it will be going to in this way, and in this way you are going to have all the stuff in this heap memory, and this is known as string constant pool. You are going to store all this stuff in this string constant pool. In this string you can perform so many operations such as slice, like let's say start end, and you have substring start end, split separate limit, substring start length, and so many methods. So searching and validation test. Let's say you want to search, let's say you have a string called Charan, and in this string you want to search something, let's say searching and validation text. So let's say you search includes this thing, at this position you are searching this string. Okay, and start with I wrote this, so I will give this PDF in the description, check that. So if you want any specific code that you want, and what is its requirement, and what is its specification, that you can read over here. So if you read this, you will understand. I kept all the stuff in this PDF. If you read this PDF, you will understand all the methods of the string. If you want to modify and replace any part of the string, you can use this replace method. You can use this replace all. You can use this to uppercase, to lowercase. Let's say you have a capital C HARAN, and let's say you call this as ST, and inside this to uppercase you can pass this ST. Then this will be going to convert this Charan to the uppercase, like all are uppercases, and the vice versa. If you pass to this lowercase, all the stuff will be converted to lowercase, this also including lowercase, and this will concatenate this new string. Okay, this will count the number of string, and not only that, there are so many string methods. Like if you are handling, if you want to handle a white space, let's say this is Charan, and you have space, and again you have Kumar. So in between you have white space, right? You don't want white space, you want to remove this white space. So to remove that white space, you can use this trim method. So you can mention the start end, and this also some of the methods that you can see of. So you can access the character and Unicodes, like at index. If you mention at index, let's say at index number 2. So I forgot to mention the string is also the zero-based indexing. If I come here, if I want to talk more about strings, so let's say this is the string. So this is a string. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's say st. So the string name is st. If I call st of 2, I am going to get answer as r, because this is st of 2. Let's say I will declare let a string s is equals to Charan. So this is the string. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I want to access something, let's say string of I want to know 5. If I console.log that, if I console.log string of s, you will be going to get this n as your output. So in this way, the strings are also zero based indexing in the JavaScript. So for that, if you want to see any character at that index, you can also use this character at that index. So if you mention character at, let's say char at index, let's say 2, you suppose, let's say you will get let's say a. What is the character at that place, you will get that character. And character code at character point at. So again I came to the VS Code. In the VS Code I will be going to paste some code for you. So first of all I will be going to explain you this code. So if you understand this code, then that's it. All the string methods will be understood by you. Let's say I have a string called let str is equals to this hello JavaScript world. So basically this is the string. You can see all the variations that I have in this string. Let's say we have white spaces, we have the words, and we have some other other variables, and we have spaces at the end also. This is the string which contains all kinds of variations. Now, so I am just doing console.string original string, and we are just printing that original string. This is simple, you know that. Now, first method is to print the length. So you are saying length here, and you are saying the string dot length. You can see this is the str, and you are saying that str dot length. And if you want to trim any part, you can say str dot trim. Okay, whatever you want to trim, you can pass inside this. And you want to pass to uppercase, you can pass to uppercase. Okay, you are passing str. You are calling on str dot uppercase, str dot to lowercase, str dot includes, and you are passing the JavaScript, the word that you want to search in this hello means in this string. Okay, in this str string you want to search whether it is there or not. So I hope in this fashion all the 20 methods that I have written over here, you can read all this. I want to concatenate something, I want to repeat something, I want to pad start, I want to pad end. Now if I open the console, so I clear the terminal, if if I compile and run, you can see original string is hello JavaScript world, and the length of the string is 27, and I have trimmed that hello JavaScript, means I have trimmed the spaces. You can see basically I just wrote that str.trim, which will be going to trim all the extra spaces and all the stuff. It will be simple hello JavaScript world. You can see here you are getting spaces also as well. And to uppercase will convert all the stuff to uppercase. You can see str dot to uppercase, and in the same way it will convert to all to lowercase. And tool means here it includes, this function will check whether JavaScript is exist in this str or not. It is saying that true, which is nothing but JavaScript exists in this. So in the similar fashion I have written all the 20 methods. If you have time, you can check out that in the PDF I have written all the string methods here. And now I am going to explain you arrays. So arrays is also a very important topic. There are so many methods on the arrays. So in the C++, how you will declare arrays, in the same fashion you can also declare arrays in this JavaScript. But there is only one difference. The one difference is you can have the mixed thing, like you have a string, you have a number, you have a boolean, you have an object. But in the C language you cannot do that. You cannot do that. Only one data type is allowed that. Let's say you say int, let's say num. So if you declare in this fashion, you always need to put only the numbers inside this. You need to put only numbers inside this. This is C or C++. Whereas if you consider the JavaScript, you can place all the types. You can place boolean, you can place Java, anything absolutely you can see over here. And you can also place a single data type. That's of course a default. Default is anything you can place. Of course by thing you can place all the strings also as well. Now how you can have how you can declare array. There are two ways to declare an array. So this is one type of array. So which is const numbers new array, and inside that you can pass the numbers. So I will show you, don't worry. So these are the methods. So let me come to the VS Code first. So I hope you understood all the string based methods. So I will remove that. Now I will be going to discuss about the arrays. Arrays and objects are very important concepts in the JavaScript. So arrays are how you will declare in C. Like that only you can declare. Let's say let ARR. You can mention in this fashion. In this inside this. I hope this is not there. Inside this you can mention apple. After that you can mention like let's say mango. You can say fruits and all the stuff in this fashion. So this is one of the way to declare an array. So if you mention this there. So now I will be going to show you how you can declare arrays in JavaScript. So if you want to declare arrays in JavaScript, let's say you want to declare a const array. So in this fashion, inside this you can mention all the stuff. Let's say you want to mention any fruits. Let's say a string of fruits. You can mention apple, mango, and yeah, in this fashion you can extend how many fruits. Let's say fruit. So in this is the way that how you declare an array. So this is one way, and you have another way called const, and let's say num is equals to new array. Inside that you can pass the numbers what you want. So this is another way that how you can create an array. So basically this is an object. This array is an object. Inside this object you are passing 1, 2, 3. With the help of the new keyword you are creating a new array, and you are storing that new array in the nums. And if you want to print that, you can see you can use this console.log, and if I print that arr, and if I open the console, you can see all the values in the array has been successfully printed. In the same fashion, if I want to print this nums also, let's see how it will be. Not nums, num. If I compile and run, you can see the 1, 2, 3 also has been printed. Not only this, I can place different types of data types in this here. So here we have a string over here. Now let's say I will place a number here. I will remove this. I will place a number 2 over here, and let's say I want to place an object. I can place let's say key value pairs, right? I will say key and I will say value. You can place any of the stuff, and I will say array 2 or not 23 array 2, and I will just also call this array 2 in the console.log. If I print that, you can it's saying that okay, I forgot to mention, you need to mention this object in this fashion. Okay, you need to mention key value in this way, otherwise you are going to get as undefined. You can clear the terminal, you can print that. You can see it is saying apple, mango, fruit because the array 1 this is, and it is saying apple to key value because this is the array 2. This is the one data type, this is the another number data type, this is the object data type, and you are able to print all the stuff in the array 2. And finally this is the another way that how you can declare the arrays. It is printed over here. So this makes some sense now. There are also some methods on the arrays. So now if I clear this, let's say I also clear this and if I clear this, so basically there are some array methods like you can sort. Let's say in the array you have only numbers, you can sort that numbers. In the array you can reverse that array. Let's say you can reverse, you can add new values, all the stuff you can have there. If you come to the PDF, you can see methods that modify the original array. If you want to mutate the original array, you can pass that array dot copy, that you can pass target, start and end. So you can array dot fill, you can array dot pop, you can dot push, you can use the array dot reverse. I will show you here. Let's say you are having, I will remove this. Okay, you are having an array like this. So what I will do is I will do some console.log. Inside this console.log, I will say array dot reverse. Okay, I will just simply say array dot reverse, and I will clear the screen. I will compile and run. You can say saying that reverse. So if I mention this brackets also, you can see if I compile and run, fruit, mango, apple, it has been successfully reversed. And not only that, if I duplicate that, there are so many methods. If I remove this, and what if I do sort? If I do sort, and if I run another stuff, let's say beetroot. Let's say if I compile and run, you can see it's saying sort. Sorry for this. You can mention like this, and you can simply clear the terminal. If I compile and run, you can see apple, beetroot, fruit, and mango. It has been sorted. It has been sorted. The array has been sorted based on the alphabets. That's why I wrote beetroot here, because after A you need to get B. So that's why based on alphabetical order it has been sorted. Not only that, you can get the length of the array. How? You can say array dot, instead of sort you can say length. Let's see what you will get as output. So it's saying that the length is not a function. If that's not a function, you can remove this. Let's see what happens. So simply, if you mention in this fashion, it is a function. If you mention in this manner, it is a method. So as you see, you are getting 4, which is nothing but true. You are having 4 elements inside this array. So you can calculate the length of the array in this fashion. So in this fashion only, there are so many methods that you can understand. So you can see here, array.fill, array.pop, or array.push. If you want to push any new element, let's see that also you can able to push a new element or not. So I hope you understood these stuff. So I am removing this. So I will be going to push, like let's say array.push. So I will push an element, let's say my name. Okay, another let's say round. I have pushed 2 elements into this, and I will, if I want to print this, let's say what I will, if I print array, let's see what happens. If I clear the terminal, if I compile and run, you can see my name Charan and Ram has been printed successfully. So what is meant by this push? So push is nothing but this will be going to push 2 elements into this. Okay, so I hope you understood what is meant by push. If you want to remove something, if you mention array.pop, it will be going, let's say I will clear that console. If you compile and run, you can see you are getting only apple, mango, fruit. This beetroot has been removed. So pop is nothing but it will be going to remove some of the element from the back. So that is known as pop. So these are some of the array methods. If you want to read more about this, you can definitely check out this PDF that I will be going to give in the description. And not only that, there is a method known as array.map. So this will be going to see this is the method to return a new copy. Okay, immutable save method. Okay, immutable means you are not changing that. It will return a new copy. So if you are using map, flat map, filter, so these are all the methods. What it will do, it will be going to return a new array. How? Let's see that code in the code. So we have a method. So what I will do is array dot. So if you do dot, you will get all the methods that you can get. So you can see at the last index, you can find last index, flat map for each. So what this for each? So you can see for each callback function. So it will be going to accept a function. Inside this you can perform any operation. Okay, so inside this what I will be going to do is I will be going to have some function. So this for each method can do something. So what I will do is I will just try to print something. Let's say I am getting values. Let's say I am getting values as val, and I am trying to print the val. Let's see what happens. If clear the terminal, if you compile and run, you can see all the values that I am printing successfully. So what is meant by this? So basically you are having that on the array. On this array, you are running a for each loop. Basically I have said this before. I will explain that like that I said. So for each is nothing but a loop which will run for all the values. It will first you will get apple and it will be going into the val and you are printing that. Next mango will come, going to val, it will be printed. Next fruit will come, it will go into the val, it will be printed. In the similar way, how many values you have, all the values will be printed in this fashion. So this is the main use case of the for each loop. Let's say you are storing this. Let's say let a new ARR. Okay, I hope you got that. I am storing this in the new array. Okay, I am storing all the values in the new array, and this is also it should also be an array because you are printing all the stuff, and because you are running a loop here. And if I simply come here and if I do console.log and if I say new array, okay, if you clear the terminal, if you compile and run, see it is saying apple, mango, fruit, beetroot, and for this console it is saying undefined. Okay, I hope you got this understanding of this for each loop. Okay, it will return a new copy. And if I again say instead of new array, if I say simply array, if you have something in this, so you can see I am getting in this fashion. And if you put something into this new array, yes, this is somewhat interesting. It has become somewhat interesting here. So I will print all the stuff here. So I will say new array dot push. So here I will say I will push my name, okay, and I will push another called Kumar. So I am pushing two values to the new array, and I am also printing the new array and the original array. Let's see what happens. Okay, because I am having the new array here, I am pushing some to the new array, and I am having the array. Okay, let's say I will clear the terminal. If you compile and run, it says new array dot push cannot read properties of undefined. Okay. If you have in this fashion, let's see what happens. Control L, if you compile and run. Okay, these are mutable. So if you assign in this fashion, I have removed that array dot push for each loop I have removed. So simply I have copied in this fashion. If you copy the array into the new array in this fashion, and if you are pushing into that new array, this array will also be changed because the arrays are mutable. See, if I print the array and if I print the new array, both are printing the Charan Kumar as it is at the last. I hope you got that. So arrays are mutable. So for that reason, you need to make sure always you copy correctly, so that only you can make changes in the array. So that's the reason you if you assign in this fashion, so when you are making changes in the new array should not be affected. So that's the main reason. So check all these methods. This is the for each see the method used to iterate and loop, calls a function and once for each element in the array for each all. Okay, this is the function or the loop, I can say. This is loop all the array. So now here comes the very important part, that is objects in JavaScript. So what is an object? So object is nothing but this kind of structure where you declare a const and person and is equals to. So this is the scope. This is the scope. Inside this scope you can have literally anything. It's a like a name, you need to store a key, colon and a value. Let's say value name is, it's a value. Okay, it can be any value. So after that it's not colon here, it's a comma separated values. Then you can pass another thing and you can pass a function and you can have another variable. So you can see over here. So here person is the object name, this one. Age 29 is the object property, name is a key. Here see, name is a key, and Catherine is a value, which is nothing but here is a value, and say hello is a method. Inside an object we can have methods. See clearly. So say hi is a method. So inside an object we can have some methods over here. So you can read the definition of the object over here, but I am not going to go through this definition. I will go give you a PDF in the description. Check it out. So if you see practically, you will understand. So after this explanation, I will also show you the practical way also, how you can declare the object. So there are two types of declaring object, that also I will show you. And there are types of objects in the JavaScript, which is user defined objects, built-in objects, browser objects, document objects. So this browser object is very important. I will show you that. So this is the syntax, how you can declare object, const car, and you can declare the properties of the car. And you can get object dot key, object dot value, object dot entries, object dot assign. Okay, so the property attributes are these, and you can also see here. If you have the object, in the object we have two properties, which is x and y. So for each value we have all these properties. Okay, the next thing is objects in JavaScript. So I will also discuss what is JSON and JavaScript object in detail. So first of all, you need to understand what is the objects in JavaScript. So practically you need to understand. So I will come here, I will remove this object, I will say is objects. Okay, I will remove this. So if you want to understand the objects in detail, so first of all, how you will do that? So I will say const student so is equals to this. So you have already seen this. So how you will say that? First I will say name as, let's say, Charan, and you can place a comma and you can say age, and in the same way you can place the number. You can comma separated value, you can keep that, and you can simply say branch, and you can place comma and you can mention the branch. Let's say CSE, and in the similar way name, age, branch, and you can say mail also, mail or e-student. Let's say e-student, the current student. Means he is currently studying or not, is currently studying in our college or not, in some kind of stuff. That kind of stuff, if you want to store, you can use this kind of stuff. So each student will store is true or not. It's a boolean type of data. So yeah, this is the basic object. So if you want to access the values of the object, and let's say if I want to print something, so I can simply do student. So this will completely print the student. So if you open the terminal, if you clear the terminal, and if you simply compile and run, you can see all the object has been printed successfully, which is name has been printed, age has been printed, branch and each student or not. So this is the way of if you want to print complete student. So if you want to specifically any key if you want to have, so inside this if you want to see the name, so you can pass the name. If you clear the terminal, if you again compile and run, so you can see it is showing name is not defined. So this is the name. It is saying that name is not defined. So if it is saying that, we can mention simply in this fashion. Okay. Now if you clear the terminal here, if you compile and run, it is saying that student of name. It is again saying that name is not defined. So student of name. So why it's saying that name is not defined? Let me clear this and let me say dot, use the dot notation. And if you clear the terminal, if you compile and run, you can see the Charan is our output. So if you again come to this, if you come back, so for the name actually you need not to mention any double quotes, but here also you can see there is no need of double quotes. So if I come back here, so I will remove these double quotes. If I remove these double quotes, so without mentioning that, so I will mentioning dot name only. So if I clear the screen, if I again compile and run, you can see the value over here. So not only the name, you can also see the age also. Student.age means student dot this age. So if I again compile and run, if you see that student, I got the student age. So in this fashion, you can access any of the values inside this object. Not only that, if you want to modify any object, let's say student of name. If you want to change that as let's say Ram. And if you do the console.log, if you do console.log of the let's say student.name, let's see what we will get. Whether we will get Ram or whether we will get Charan, because we are changing here. Here don't forget to mention, as this is a string, you need to mention in this double quotes. If I compile and run, it is saying that student of name. So here it's, I think you need to again mention in this fashion student.name. So if I compile and run again, you are going to see Ram. So in this fashion, with the help of this dot notation, you can simply access or change the value of this name. Not only this name, if you want to change, let's say if you want to change the age, student.age, you can mention that as 50, and here also you can mention access the age. Here you can print the age, you can see you get 50. You return 20 here in the original student, but you are changing the object parameter or object value here of the student, then it will be going to reflect here the same value. If I clear the terminal, so this is one of the way. Now there are some of the methods that you need to know about the student. So if you clearly see, I have pasted some of the methods. First of all, if you need to get all the values, okay, all the keys of the object, so you can say object dot keys of student. Okay, you will get name, age, branch, each student. Okay, if you want the student dot values, if you want only values, you can say object dot values of which object? Of the student object, of this object. So of the entries, you can say object dot entries of the student. You can say object dot has own. You can say object dot assign. So you can say object dot freeze. So in this fashion, you can access all the methods of the student. If I compile and run, you can see all this stuff, which is keys. Okay, all the keys I am getting: name, age, branch, each student. I am getting all the values: Charan 20 CSE true, and all the entries that I am getting here. Has name means it is saying that in this I have something known as name or not, has name or not. So I am getting this, and copied object, and I am getting freeze. So these are the object methods, some of the object methods that I have. Now again, if I come to this presentation, so I hope you understood this. And what is this browser object? If you want to understand this browser object, you can come to here. So inside this you can say document. So you can come to the browser. So if you let's say if you type the document, so you can see, you can click on this document. If you hit enter, so you can see you can expand. This is the browser document object. So I hope this makes some sense now, because there are so many objects I said, right? So in that browser object is also an object, document is also object is also object. Now I am showing you this document object. So built-in user defined is object that I have showed in the VS Code. This is this kind of object that user defines this kind of object by themselves according to their requirement. But these are the inbuilt document objects which is inbuilt in the browsers, which made our life easier. Okay, if you come inside this, if you want to explore more about, let's say, if you want to see the document type and all this stuff. So let's say if I just want to see this, if you hit enter, you can see more stuff about this. So you can see all the stuff, you can expand, you can get all the stuff. This is the more stuff about this document object. In the similar way, if you come down, there is something known as JSON. So if you want to talk to any of the database, or like MongoDB, or if you want to send the data over the HTTP protocol, or any of the data if you want to transfer. In the olden days, they used to talk with the XML, which is extensible markup language, but nowadays they are using the JSON to talk with that. So here JSON is nothing but JavaScript object notation. So here JSON is nothing but JavaScript object notation. It is completely different of the JavaScript object. Up to now what we have shown is the JavaScript object, but JSON is somewhat different. So what is the difference? So the difference is, here you will not mention this kind of stuff, but in the JSON you will mention here. That's the main thing that I have stressing, that you will not mention here this kind of stuff in the JavaScript object. Okay, only you will mention if that is string in this side. Okay, but in the JSON you will mention both sides. All the keys, it is definitely required to mention in this format. If in the value, if that is the string, it is definitely mandatory to mention in this format. Okay, so this is JSON. If you want to convert JSON to JavaScript object notation, you need to parse that. You are getting data as JSON. If you click parse, so if you click parse is nothing but JSON is converted to object. Okay, JavaScript object. So if you again stringify, see, this is not string, this is not string, this is not string, this is not string. So you can see. So this is an array. Okay, this is not string. Okay, if this is not string, if you want to make this as string, you need to write as JSON dot stringify. Then this will become as stringified. I hope this makes some sense now. I hope you understood what is the main difference between that. It's a string differences, right? If you want to have string or not, based on that, you are going to choose the JSON or JavaScript object notation. Now let us discuss a topic that is known as destructuring. So what is meant by this destructuring? So destructuring is nothing but the way that you take the data. Destructure. D is nothing but remove. Structure is nothing but the basic structure that you are accepting or giving, that is known as structure. So destructuring is of two types. The first one is of array destructuring, the way that how you get the data from the arrays, and the second one is the object destructuring, the way that you get the object that you get the data is known as object destructuring. So in simple words, if I want to explain destructuring, so let's say I declared an array which is nothing but let's say 1 2 3 4 5. So let's say this is an array. Okay, let's say let array 2 okay, let's array 2 is equals to array. So if you write this in text, what happens? All this stuff will be added here. Whatever the changes you make will be reflected here. So that's in JavaScript, arrays are mutable. Means if you assign in this fashion, they will be changed completely. Now what is meant by destructuring? So for that purpose we need to understand. So if you see here we are having the object. So this is the object. So in the object we have discussed up to now what is the object and all the stuff here. So suppose let's say object destructuring, how you will do. So const name city type is equals to user. Okay, means from the user you are taking these three values. Okay, these three values you are taking, and you can use all these three values. Why? We are having this, right? You can do like let's say user dot name. I can do in this fashion. If I want to use the name, then why I am taking the name here? Why? Because outside of this object, of this object scope also, if you want to access means, or in another file if you want to take that value means, you can use in this fashion. Okay, if you see with the help of example, you will get a clear understanding of that. And not only that, the object destructuring and array destructuring I have kept in clear and detail so that you can understand in a clear way. So the first of all, if you need to understand the object destructuring, so this is the object that we have seen up to now, how to declare an object. So this is the basic destructuring. Let's say const name age. You don't want the city, then what you do, name age, and you will get from the user, and you can simply print the name. That's as simple as that. And you can rename also, renaming the variables. See, this name is inside this user. Don't think that it is in the global variable, but this is in the global variable. Why? Because this is equivalent. This is equivalent. Let's say I will write here, that is equivalent to const name is equals to user dot name, const age is equals to user dot name. Whatever you are having, sorry, user dot age, whatever you are having inside this object, you are having the age, the same age can be copied in the global variable of this age. So this is nothing but in the global variable you are declaring age and you are copying that variable from this user object. So this is the main use. Instead of writing all this lengthy code, you can simply use the destructuring. So instead of lengthy codes, you can use this destructuring, and if you want to rename any stuff, you can simply say const city hometown. City is nothing but this city, and you can say the value I have changed as hometown, and I am getting that as user. Means while I am accepting only, I changed that, and if you want to print hometown, it says Austin. Okay, and you say default values, fallback values, that is role is equals to guest. If you mention here when you are accepting that, so role will be guest only. If you print the role, it will be guest. So in the same way, if you, the same way, almost identical. So that's why I kept side by side. So if you have colors like let's say red, green, blue, so this is the basic destructuring. Like let's say you have first color, you have second color, you are getting from these colors. Basically these two colors are copied in the first color and second color. If you print the first color, you will get red. If you print colors, these colors, means if you place comma, third color, then the third color, if you print that, you will get blue. Okay. And if you say A, B, C, D and is equals to yellow, D is equals to yellow, then the last color will be, if you print the last color, that will be yellow. Means what is that? While accepting only, you can see clearly here. While accepting only from the colors, you say A as A, B, C, D, D as yellow here, A, B, C. A, B, C is red, green, A, blue, and D as you are accepting as yellow. So first of all, if I want to show you in the VS Code so that you can understand clearly. So a little bit I have zoomed here, so I will remove this about object. So let's say I have declared an array, let array is equals to, in the same way, let's say red, green, and let's say finally I will take it as blue. Okay, now what I will do is I will going to say const. So inside this const I will be going to say first color, first CLR, or first color. I will say second color, and that's it. And if you can say dot res, you can say in this fashion. What is this dot res? It is nothing but rest operator. You can print, you can place all the remaining stuff in this rest. And from where you can get that? You can get this from array. And if you print that console.log, if you do that, if you print the first color, you can see what happens. And in the same fashion, if you print this, remove this, if you see second color, and in the same fashion the res. Okay, this is a simple stuff. Okay, let's say what happens. If you open this terminal, if we clear the terminal, if I compile and run, you can see it is saying the undefined, and finally the rest operator, you can see 0, 1, 1 green, 2 blue. The rest operator has been taken as charge. Okay, if I remove this rest operator, if I again clear the terminal, if I compile and run, you can see it is saying that rest. So I will remove this. So again, you can clear the terminal. If I compile and run, you can see it is saying that undefined and undefined. Why it is saying that? Because you are taking from the array, you are taking the data, right? If you go to here, you can see from the array you are taking the data, but you are so you can see clearly for the array you need to mention these brackets, for the object you need to mention these curly braces. So that's a small thing that I have made a mistake, so you need to check that also as well. So this is the bracket you need to keep in mind. So for the array destructuring, so you can simply do that. So you can see you are getting the red and green. Now if you mention comma, triple dot and res, so res is nothing but rest operator. It will take all the rest remaining elements and it will place in that. Now if I take that and if I place rest, if I clear the terminal and if I place that, you can see the remaining elements is coming here. If I having another element as the purple also, I will be going to get that in the rest. If I again compile and run, you can see blue and purple I am getting in this stuff. So in this way, how many the other elements you are getting, you can store in this. Not only that, if you say comma and b, comma b, and simply if you if you console.talk, if you simply print b, so this is first comma, this is second comma, and the third one is blue will come here and here blue will printed. So if you compile and run, you can see blue is printed. So again, if you make comma dot let's say comma dot res, all the other values will come into this. So if you want to also see that, you can simply come here and you can say res, and again you can clear the terminal and you can print that. You can see purple. Why purple? Because you have come up to the blue. Okay, yeah, b is blue and you have only one element left, that is purple. So this is the way that how you destructure the arrays. Destructure is nothing but how you take the values from this array to keep here. Okay, so I will remove this. Now object destructuring. Let's say const student, the same thing, the same stuff. Let's say name. Let's say for the simplicity I will keep name as this name, and a comma separated value age is equals to, let's say 20, comma separated value is student, I will say it as true. So these are the values, this is the simple object that I have. Now I need to have the object destructuring. So I will simply say const. So in the previous array destructuring we have made a mistake, that is you need to make the square braces there. Here you need to make the curly braces if you are using the object destructuring. So you can simply say name comma ah, and from where you are getting from student. So in this fashion you can object destructure that. So you can simply see what is the name. You can simply clear the terminal and you can increase the size if you want. If you compile and run, it is saying that syntax error. What's the blue? Purple. Okay, I will remove control, like I will do CLS. If I compile and run, it is saying syntax error. Name is equals to Charan, comma. So it's saying the error because invalid shorthanded property initializer. So student is coming here. So in that fashion, if you want to do object destructuring, and you can also do the array destructuring. So I also explained you what is meant by spread operator and rest operator. So spread operator is nothing but it will spread all the values. Rest operator is nothing but it will rest means you can dot rest means so you can also mention dot. You can mention any of the name. Let's say var. Not var. It's a keyword, right? So val. You can say val, not val. So triple dot val triple dot. This is the rest operator. This is a spread operator. So it's as simple as that. So you can also read this table to understand what is the main difference between rest and operator and spread operator. So it gathers multiple elements, spread multiple elements, and all the output is for arrays and objects or individual elements or properties. You can do that. So function parameters and destructuring, function call, array manipulation, object cloning. Anywhere in the code you can use the spread operator. Last parameter or property you can use this rest operator. And you can also see the examples of the rest operator. So the rest operator, first of all, spread operator, if you see, so if you this is the function call. So assume that so dot abc, okay, in the spread x el1 el You are saying EL1, EL2, EL3. So here also EL1, EL2, EL3. So this is the spread and this is the rest operator. You can see clearly and you can understand what is the rest operator here. Spread, it is from one element, it is spreading to three elements. Rest element, from three elements it is spreading resting to one element. So in this fashion. So these are the objects. So you can have this kind of the data object. This is the method of the object. So this is the math. This is the math is object. We have all these methods on the math object. See, the next very important thing that we need to understand is error handling. So what is this error handling? So in regular life we will see if you write a code, if you will get errors. So if someone will handle that error, some will not handle that errors. So basically you need to handle that errors. So in the real world production grade, so you will see many of the times if you write any sensitive code, any of the code which handles with the database, or any of the code which handles with the connections with the servers, front end and back end connections. So these kind of connections require some time. Async await, these kind of times require some time. So at that time we are using error handling kind of stuff. So what is error handling? It's nothing but try catch block. You will have a try block here. So inside this some code will be there. If this code is not executed, then whatever the code is there inside this catch block will be executed. So finally is a block of code. If these two executed or not, this will be ultimately executed. Why? Let's say it is used to close some of the database connections and all the stuff. This finally will be used to do that. So generally we will use the try catch blocks only, and rare means if you have some database connection and all the stuff, you also use the finally block also as well. So you can see I have wrote down here clearly what is the use case for all the stuff. So this block is always runs regardless of whether an error was thrown or not. Okay, it is primarily used to close the streams. Yes, it is finally used to close to the streams, disconnect databases, or stop loading spinners. These are the main three use cases of using this finally block. Okay, you place code here through it might potentially crash or throw an error. The sensitive code that always you will put in this try block, like fetching an API data, parsing as JSON, or reading a file. Okay, if you get an error, if you get error occurs in the try block, execution stops and immediately and control jumps here. Okay, these are the three steps that you in this error handling goes. So this is a simple code that I have put over here so that you can understand how the error handling code works. So first of all, here I have a function. You can see here. From function from here to here. So the total function from here to here. So first of all, I wrote show loading spinner. So action before trying risky code. Okay. So first of all, some code is there in the try block, then some code is there in the catch block, and finally is there something here. So hide loading spinner I have wrote here, and I wrote something in the console.log here and like here. So this is the syntax. Now if you want to understand exactly, so I will be going to explain with the help of this. So I will say let x is equals to 10. Okay. So I will say try. Okay. Let's say not that. Let's say A is this, and I will say B is let's say B is 20, and let's say let sum is equals to A plus B. This is very simple code. But also I am keeping this in the try block. Why? Because this might be very big code also as well. So for that reason I am placing that code over here. So I will do console.log and I am say I am in the catch block. So you might write a big code also catch block, but I am doing as simple as that so that you can understand very simply. So you can print, if you want you can print the sum also as well. Okay, here it might be a database connection. It might be a stopping the connecting with the resources also as well. And finally, these two are enough. These two are enough. Okay, now you don't want finally also as well. So if I simply clear the terminal, if I run this, you will see 30 because the try block will execute, the catch block will not execute. Now what I do is I also write finally over here. So if you want to know more about that, if I run finally here, so this is also not an issue. So here also you can simply say I am in the finally block. So this will be automatically executed. If your code works, if your code doesn't work, it will be executed. So if you again run that, it says 30 and it also says I am in the final block. So I hope you understood. The try block will be executed when only it is possible. If not, catch block will be executed, and the finally block will be executed always. Okay. And if you want to know a simple example, I also show you. I hope you got this. So I will erase this. So if you see, I have pasted a simple example here. So error handling in JavaScript, let's say I have an object. Let's say this is an object. Let's say in the object I have name and I have some marks. So in the try block, what I put is, if student marks is greater than 100, here we have 105, or student marks is less than 0. So I am going to throw an error that, here throw new error. I am saying that marks should be between 0 to 100. And I am saying that I am printing the student name and I am printing the student marks. Okay, if this has, and in the catch block I am getting the error and I am printing that what is the error, and finally I am saying that program finished. Okay, this is a simple error handling code you can see over here. If I let's say if I compile and run, you can say error, marks should be between 0 to 100 and program finished. Let's say I will say marks is as 90. Now you can see if I compile and let's say clear the screen, if I compile and run, you can see marks 90 and program finished. So I am getting the student name, marks, and this. Why? Because I am printing here. Okay, this if statement is not worked, these two statement has been worked. I hope you understood what is meant by the error handling, and now we need to understand what is meant by document object model. This is also shortcut we will call it as DOM. I hope I showed you that the DOM tree, which is known as DOM tree. So whatever you in the browser you see, which is as document, so HTML will have separate thing. We have head, body. Head will have title, body will have div, and if you have separate components, it have separate components. So this is the way that how the DOM will be there in the browsers. In the backend, it will be looking similar like a tree. Nothing more than that. In the websites, the browser will be having a tree structure. That's it. It is not more than that. So you can also read the statement the statement over here. It is that document object model is a program interface provided by the browser that turns an HTML document into tree of programmable objects. Tree of a programmable objects. It acts as a bridge, allowing JavaScript to read, change, add or delete page structures and content style in the structure. I will repeat, allowing JavaScript to read, change, add or delete pages structure, content and styling in real time. So and finally we have some advanced concepts that is known as local storage and session storage. So if you want to set any item in the local storage, you can use the set item. If you want to get any item from the local storage, you can use this. If you want to remove this, you can use this kind of syntax. So you can see all the stuff. I have put at the definition of the local storage. So used to website to save key value data on your computer that persists data even after the browser is closed. Okay, the local storage is permanent, that will be there when you close the browser also. So what is the preference? So for the theme, for the user theme color, like dark mode, light mode, you can store that data in the local storage, like drafts and form data, application state, caching data, authentication tokens. Okay, and we have something known as session storage. So session storage also you can set item and you have get item, and you can also use this kind of syntax to read that. So I will give you PDF in the description, check that so that you can understand. So this is used for the temporary data, tab specified data, and should persist after user closes the browser window. Common use cases are for like saving draft text, form data, UI state, transition application data. So this is the JavaScript part, so that's why I'm explaining that. So this is the exact, like when you are building real world applications, so that you can understand it's a JavaScript implementation clearly. So right now I'm just explaining the basic syntax or basic stuff, what is that and what are that. Okay, if you want to know more about that, you can pause the video, you can read the stuff here. And it's an interview topic that is known as the function currying and closures. So when I am discussing about the functions, I mentioned that inside a function you can return you can have another function and you can return that function also, and this is known as closure. If inside the function, if you are returning a function, that is known as function the closures. And let's say wait, I will remove this. Now I will explain what is meant by function curry. So inside we have a function. Okay, I will for the explaining I will come here. So first of all you need to understand what is meant by function currying. So first of all, you need to understand what is meant by functioning. As I already mentioned, you have a function over here, and again you have a function over here, again you have a function over here, and let's say the function is closing, this function is closing here, this function is closing here, this function is closing here. So this is known as function currying. So function currying is nothing but the functions which are multiple functions, like that in this fashion you can go up to the infinite also. So this is known as function currying. So in function inside a function, function inside a function, function inside a function, in this fashion. This is function currying. And one of the famous introduced favorite topic is closures. So closure is nothing but, I have already discussed, you have a function, inside that you return a function. Okay, you return a function, that is known as closure. This is known as closure. It's a very important topic. It's nothing more than that. It's a simple topic, closure. So if I again come here, you can see, you can read the definition of the closure here. It's a simple definition. A closure is a function that remembers, has access to outer scope. Outer scope is nothing but what? It's a you are returning a function, okay, inside a function. So you can see, this is the function you are having. So you are returning a function. You are returning a function. Okay, inside a function you are returning a function. This is the closure. That's as simple as that. Function currying and closure. So this is the basic. So you have AB, and you are simply adding the value access you have here, and you are calling the function add 2 3. So basic, this is, you know that. And curried code, how you will do curried code? So you curried add, you are first passing 2 and next passing 3. Okay, if you want to more understand this, I will show you in the code also. I will remove this. Okay, I will first say curried code of A. So A is 5, and I will pass why I am, as this is the single function, why I am passing 2 values. I will explain why I am passing 2 values. You will get to know. So first of all, I will say function, and function name, I will name it as sum, and I will accept one argument as A. So that A is this 5. Oh sorry, not sum. Okay, I will name it as sum. Okay, for simplicity I will name it as sum. Inside that I will say return another function. So you can say another function, so you can call it as B, and you can let's say console.log, you can print that A plus B. That's as simple as that. Okay, you are getting A from here, you are getting B from here, and ultimately you are printing here. The 2 values for after the sum, the first value, first braces will be actually this, and the second braces value 6 will come into this function, and you can able to access both the values inside here, so that you can able to print that A plus B. So this is known as function currying. So if I clear the terminal, if I console.log, you can see 11 and undefined. So the 11 is coming from here and undefined is coming from here. Means I hope you understood that. So this is the function, basic function currying definition and all this stuff. Now I want to explain what is meant by event loop and call stack. So event loop is nothing but the JavaScript behavior. So this is a JavaScript. In the JavaScript we have something known as memory heap and call stack. So what is this call stack? So let's say you have web APIs. We have DOM, Ajax, timeout. These are functions, right? So callback queue is nothing but whenever user clicks on the button on click, it will be going to go to the call stack, and it will be stored in the event loop, and it will be going to manipulate the DOM elements and all the stuff. And see, first user click user on click, and it will be going to load and on load. These all 3 conditions will be storing in the callback queue. This callback queue will be again storing in the call stack, and again going to store in the heap memory, and again going to call this. So this is the continuous loop. This is the continuous loop. So this is known as event loop. And call stack is nothing but this is the call stack. First, all these 3 will be stored in the call stack. So that's the reason we will calling it as the call stack. So if you want to understand another example, you can see clearly over here. So there are multiple stuff, multiple events is there to be done by the browser. One is on click, on load, on done. So these are the 3 things that user will be going to do. So after user, all 3 will be going to store in the callback queue. After that, it will be going to store in the callback queue, means the callback stack. So let's say console.log, logger A, main. So after all this stuff, it will be going to change the actual DOM elements, and again this will be performed. So as this loop will be repeating, this is known as event loop, and this is all storing in the call stack. So that's why it is call stack. So I hope with these 2 images, I hope you understood all the complete JavaScript video. So again I will come back to the top. So this is the complete JavaScript roadmap. I hope you got understood this video. If you understood this video, please do like, share and subscribe this video. It takes so much effort to make this video. So thanks for watching up to now.